Why does it never remember the window? There we go. Yeah, I'm just learning of some interesting news that I didn't know. A comment on, I believe it was my last stream, from Object of Hate 4593. Hi, unfortunately, irate prostate passed away in January 22. I had no idea. That's sad. And that sucks. I didn't even know there was anything wrong with him. I gotta read the rest of this, though. I'm afraid to click on it because I don't know what it's going to bring up. Wait a minute. There we go. Let's see. Many people of the former skeptics or center right got demonetized on YouTube and lost Patreon and moved to Subscribestar, Rumble, Odyssey, etc. Sinatra says, still does a show on YouTube with Drunkle and Ghastly. Oh, really? Oh, that's who that other one is. Okay. Called AAA Meeting. Adonis Paul is probably the biggest streamer in those circles now. Interesting. I had seen Adonis Paul. I had seen that he was still streaming, but I was never really into AP stuff or Adonis Paul or whatever you want to call it. I was never really into it, so I never followed his stuff. But that's it. I don't know. It's weird that irate prostate's dead. Is what it is, I suppose. So today was interesting. The song that I started the stream out with is indicative of what occurred today, which is I met with the director of a movie that I'm going to be shooting. I thought the movie was called Clown House, but apparently it's called Entry of the Gladiators, which is the song you just heard. It's about killer clowns. So we had a little, I guess you could say we had a little production meeting today. I was under the impression we were going to be shooting today, but apparently that didn't happen. But it's probably for the best. We've got a better idea of what we want to do, and we're going to move forward on that at a later date. So in the meantime, the script needs to be generated, and then I need to start contacting people to cast for this movie. I told them I'm not doing it until I have at least the general outline, synopsis, and character list of the movie. If I don't have that, then I can't really look for people because I'm just going to get inundated with questions from people asking, what's the movie about? Do you have a script? Who are the characters? And I'm like, I hate being stuck in the middle of situations that I don't have any control over. And that's kind of the way I was in the last movie that I was involved in. I was doing a lot of the legwork, and I wasn't the person making the decisions in the final say or whatever, you know. So ultimately, I just gave it up. I didn't give it up. I mean, things didn't work out, but I gave up the concept of putting myself so far forward into the process of something that I don't have control over. And that would be that. So now it's back to waiting. And I thought I was going on a hike on the Boston Mountain section of the Ozark Highland Trail next weekend. No, that's 2 weekends from now. So I have to update my mind because I'm slipping. So with that said, I discovered something tonight that disturbed me. And I decided I was going to watch some of it tonight because I was very I was taken aback. It was so not good. I don't even know if I can find it. Holy fuck. Apparently that used to be something. I don't know. But it's a show. I guess a skit comedy show, variety show, whatever, out of Seattle, Washington. And I haven't watched all of it, but I watched a little bit of it.
You know what's better than one Papa John's pizza? Two
Oh, God.
Papa John's pizza.
I forgot this. This isn't my premium channel, so I don't get no ads. Huboo. But here we are.
Tonight, we have taken two relatively
Is it
normal
too loud?
women, matched them up
Let me turn
with
it down a
three
little bit.
very
I don't know how
special
loud it's
guys,
actually going to be.
sent them out on a date and brought them all back here to go over all the
But
details.
it's
Tonight,
like
let's
a
get
public
started.
access version in Seattle, Washington of SNL and Mad TV and shit like that by a bunch of no-name people that you just have never heard of. And this is back in the 80s and 90s and shit. So
From Microsoft.
it just goes
All
to
right,
show
first
you
let's meet our lucky ladies. Carolyn here is a
how
marketing
successful they
assistant
were.
from Olympia who likes water skiing
But it's
and looking
all
at pictures
like-
of Alec Baldwin. Hi there, Carolyn.
Yeah, it's all like
And next to her,
inside
Darlene,
jokes
a
about
licensed
Seattle.
practical nurse who says she likes to help people. Well, Darlene, you came to the right place.
But it's like really
Now,
bad like
let's
theater
meet
actors and
our
theater
stud. Here
troupe
he
comedians
is,
and shit.
Lars is a systems manager. His hobby is cheese, and he's never seen a woman naked before. How about after those 2 dates, Lars? Still not, huh? This is Wally. Wally designs icons for spreadsheet programs.
I mean, I
But
struggle.
every June,
I
he takes a
struggle
month
to
off
figure
with
out
Cody for the
who
Grateful Dead.
considers this to
And now
be.
meet Tyrone. He's a
funny.
programmer, works 16
Is
hours
that
a
Bill
day
Nye?
to unwind by memorizing the batting
Holy
averages of
fucking
all the
shit, that's
players
Bill
in the
Nye.
Yankees Baseball League. Quick quiz for you,
Well, there goes his
Tyrone.
credibility.
Hero,
Any credibility he had
111,
left is
325.
now
Wow.
gone.
Wow.
Holy
What a
shit.
group of
Be
stars.
involved in
Well,
this
ladies,
nonsense.
How did you enjoy your date?
Wow.
Well, it was interesting. I've never seen the inside of a Chuck E. Cheese before.
They don't know where we live, do they? I mean, they don't have our addresses or phone numbers or anything about us at all?
Okay, let's begin. Studs, I'm going to ask you some questions, and when you answer correctly, you
isn't
get a
funny.
floppy disk. What for?
It's
I warned you, Tyrone. Now let's start with the Lars over here. Now I'll read
It's
you
hard
three
to
quotes
watch.
about your date with Carolyn, and then you pick the one that you think she actually said, Lars. 1, his hand was up my dress before we were out the door. 2, he's got a rocket in his pocket. 3, I put up with the Cheetos and the Diet Cherry Coke, as well as the endless Steve Martin imitations, but when he insisted on stopping by the hobby shop to play with the model airplanes, that was it. Lars, what do you think?
Well, I guess 3.
That's right, Lars. Here's your disc, buddy.
it's
Okay,
disappointing.
Now, let's go to Wally. Now, Wally, here are some quotes from your date with Darlene. Guess which one she really said, Wally. 1, he's too sexy for his bandana. 2, no. I really like a guy who drives an old beat-up VW bus without any seats that smells like incense and breaks down every 5 minutes. Or 3, where did you get this burnout? Wally, what do you think?
Huh?
Which quote describes your date, Wally?
I don't remember anything about it.
Well, let's just forget it and move on now.
See, I mean,
Tyrone, which nickname
there's
do
something
our lucky
lacking
ladies give you?
in this.
1,
It's
micro
called comedy.
2, mouse-driven.
The most interesting thing about this so far is the fucking fact that Bill
just,
Nye's
just let
in
me
it.
write this little macro here in Excel, and I'll give you the answer. And just take a minute, okay? Do you guys have a laser printer?
Never mind.
Do I get my disc now?
No. It's time for our Microsoft studs to describe their dream dates now, and then
I
we'd
mean-
like to see how the ladies like it. Lars, your dream date.
Okay,
Let me guess, something nerdy?
Star Trek 4 and 6, have cheese fondue.
Now let me guess,
and then
the
watch
stoner
Coffee
guy
Together over
is
at my
something about
mom's.
being a stoner, or he's just aloof and doesn't get it?
I'd like to take a virtual reality trip to the center of the universe. And after that, catch a dead show in Eugene.
Oh yeah, stoner shit. There we go. And third guy's gonna do calculations or some mathematical horse shit.
I just want to see a bra up close. A real one.
Oh, there you go. He's trying at least.
Okay. Carolyn, based on those dream dates there,
Which is,
one would you like
you
to go
know,
out
put into
with?
context of where Seattle is now and where Bill Nye is now and all this. This is like the kind of thing that could get
Okay,
him
ladies,
canceled
what
in
do you-
Seattle.
Each of our female contestants will receive a year's supply of Cheetos, a Windows 3.1 upgrade, and a 1-hour head start out of our studio. Okay, well, Lars, Wally, and Tyrone, you done it. No date again. That means you'll be returning tomorrow for a record-breaking 57th time on Studs from Microsoft. We'll see you then.
See, that's what it all amounts to. It's like, Microsoft, right? You know Microsoft, right? You know, the company that's based out of Seattle, Washington, Microsoft. You know how funny that is?
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all...
And I guess, I don't know. I guess that's the whole point. If you're not from there, you don't know. But that sort of, I believe that this was never meant to escape Seattle, but it has thanks to the internet. So these people now have to, well, they don't have to live in shame. They're probably all dead.
Hi, we're from Politically Correct Seattle, and this is our annual PC Holiday Show, where you'll learn how to celebrate without offending anyone. And even though this
See,
is public access,
this could potentially be funny because it's not a joke. It's not comedy anymore. So we'll see how prophetic this is.
we will not exercise our right to say the F word, because we understand that may be hurtful to some guys out there who are impotent.
Actually, Kevin, guys is sexist. That should be persons out there who are impotent.
Good catch, Doreen. Now let's talk with Annie here from the co-op, who has a few words.
See, this is like an
about a
actual
holiday
show from
tradition.
Seattle Today.
Yes, Kevin. I want to talk about fruitcake. That word is offensive in so many ways. Okay, because of how the word fruit has been misused in our society, we don't use it in our produce section at the co-op anymore.
No,
Now,
a
you'll
co-op,
find
see?
your apples in
Co-op.
the section marked pulpy tissued plant ovaries.
You know what I find to be hilarious about this? It's that even back in the 90s, they knew. They knew it was dumb, but it doesn't matter. This is reality for them now. I mean, it's incredible.
So now, you could call a fruit cake
This same bitch has probably gone on TV, obviously in Seattle, within the past 4 years, and actually probably word for word recited this, only not comedically, but legitimately. She now believes everything that she was parodying before and has become that insane. That's crazy to
pulpy
me.
tissued plant ovary cake, but some find that a little awkward. So we tried happy holiday cake, but that offended our friends on Prozac. So now we just call it that holiday cake that nobody likes.
Thanks a lot, Randy. Okay, another problem we politically correct have at this time of year are holiday songs. But fortunately, there's the new politically correct holiday songbook. And in here, you'll find these new versions of traditional songs. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is now, I'm Rudolph, and I'm an alcoholic.
That's not even funny.
And you know, many people fear snow, so Let It Snow has been changed to Let It Snow on those who wish to be snowed upon. And since the first Noel shows an unhealthy preoccupation with being number one and winning, it's been changed to It Was a Noel. It's really not important which one.
That's great.
Of course, I think this was the late 80s too, so this was at the cusp of like helicopter parenting and participation trophies. So they think they're being clever by poking fun of that, but they're just getting started. They don't even understand.
Now we have with us Arlo from Free the Plants, who staged a protest about cutting down Christmas trees.
That's right. Only we don't call them Christmas trees. They're holiday vegetation victims.
And you have some video of your protest?
That's right. I think we have that somewhere here. Oh, there I am.
Okay. Now I see you've actually handcuffed yourself to a tree.
That's right. And if you can believe it, some fascist still came along and bought it.
That's terrible. Okay, now what's
Throwing
going on
out the
here?
term fascist without any real, understanding of the word.
Thank you, Arlo. Now let's
Meaningless
take a look
protests.
at the PC presents you can get for loved ones.
Yeah, here's one for the activist on your list.
I mean, it's incredible to me because this like basically confirms everything. Like this has been festering into the, in Seattle for decades, generations even. I don't think they ever would have. All these fucking yuppie cunts probably all taught their kids to be exactly like that, and now their kids are that now in order to be more relevant to their kids' lives and be more accepted, because their kids hated them, like all kids hate their parents, but they always envisioned themselves to be the cool parents. They were going to be better than their parents to their kids. They were going to be the cool parents, and it devastated them when their kids turned against them. So they decided, we're going to flip the script and we're going to accept anything that we're going to accept our kids' rebellion, and we're going to jump on board with that. We want to be so one with our kids that we're going to accept their horseshit. The horseshit is rebellion. So now their parents are now in bed with the whole concept of like whatever they were trying to rebel against, which is what their parents were trying, the liberal ideology that their parents were striving to teach their kids. They went full crazy, and now the parents are like, well, we're just as crazy too. Look, kids, we're just as crazy as you. And you can't go much crazier.
It's a knitted cozy cover for their petition board.
That's nice. And here's a bumper sticker assortment.
I just think it's hilarious that you can
there's no men in women.
try to poke fun at the very thing your city propagates and is proud of.
Cute recycling truck.
And don't forget a big favorite, Mr. Tofu Head.
And my personal favorite, Lesbian Barbie. And may I say,
There's no comedy here.
just my type.
Yeah, she's right. Well, we gotta go, but stay tuned because holiday body piercing is next.
I do have to go,
They
that's
show
for
you
sure.
where you can hang your jingle bells from.
Merry holiday.
I feel like this is
No one seems to know this, but
I feel like this is a 2004 solo edition of The Cringe Factory. It's not intended to be. I just found this tonight and I was just so mortified. It's unreal how terrible it is. Oh, look at these comments. This has become 100% accurate now. Yeah? No, it's not public access. It's a show within a show thing. It's from Almost Live, which is essentially a Seattle version of SNL. That's called public access, dipshit. If it was only available in that city or through that affiliate network, it's as close as you get to public access. It's just glorified public access. They were paying to put that show on the network. They're buying time on the network affiliate to air their garbage. Ugh. Canceled in 98. Wow. If it was canceled in 98, then all of this stuff happened before 98. Isn't that incredible? Before 9/11, and they were already professing the super woke. It's actually funnier today than it was in the mid-90s. No, it's not funnier. Not funnier in the least bit. Paula Fan 5, if that's your real name. It was never funny to begin with, number one. Number two, it's just what they do today. It's literally all that Seattle is today. Back then it was clearly a joke, but today there are articles on pretty much the same thing, except they're deadly serious about it. Yeah, exactly. How is that funny? That's not funny. It's retarded. I was a vegan and environmentalist and atheist and straight edge in the 90s. Also grew up on Almost Live. Loved the Cops on Mercer Island. So there you go. There's a vegan Dave Godfrey. Oh my God. That is the product of what became from that. It wasn't fun and jokes. It wasn't comedy. It was a blueprint for the future. It's not good. Ugh, Bill Nye. I still can't believe Bill Nye was on that show. I can. I can believe Bill Nye was on that show. It's just weird seeing him. There's their cool 90s Almost Live stinger. The thing about that is funny is I can't find the one that I was watching, but you can see right here, like maybe, no, I'm covering it. They tried to be SNL so bad with their introduction and shit like that. It's like, it was such a ripoff of that, but it's just no-name people that you've never heard of, and the jokes were the opening monologue was just some dude's horrible, live at the improv fucking routine that he's been trying to work out for ages and never gotten off the ground, and just no jokes to be had, none whatsoever. I'm surprised Boeing didn't sue him.
We would like to thank you all for coming to this press conference. We in Boeing management want to clear up any recent misunderstandings there might be about quality control, our employee attitudes, production problems, and most of all...
You know what's comedy gold? Skits about Boeing. Because so many people can relate. So many can relate. Boeing is something that everyone talks about. Oh my God, what's going on at Boeing?
About the safety of our product. Now, as you know, we recently fell behind.
Even back then, they were talking about the safety of Boeing. This is the thing that kills me. It's like, I have to wonder if this is just a thing that nobody really has noticed or pays attention to, but it's just the same talking points recycled over and over and over through the generations. Planes aren't safe. Look at all the planes that are falling out of the sky. They're not being maintained. And here back fucking 30 years ago, planes are falling out of the sky. There's safety concerns with our planes. I guarantee you go back 30 years from there, they're bitching about the fucking plane safety too. It's like the news cycles just keep wheeling out the same fucking talking points. It's like, we don't have anything current going on. Write an attack piece on Boeing. Like, and Boeing has their turn in the barrel, and they know it. It's like, that you could set your watch to it at this point. It's just so pathetic.
$1 billion, then we posted
it's corporate greed bad. Corporate greed bad.
However, I am pleased to report that last night, our softball team beat the Eddie Bauer team to take the league championship for the third year in a row. I want to give a shout out to the Boeing Bobcats, and I'll see you at the Kager down at the Caveman tonight. And we are now going to open the floor for questions.
There have been some
oh my God.
Quality control on the assembly line. For example, the wrong wings being put on a 737.
Oh my God. Is that who I think it is? What's his name? What is his fucking name? Oh, he was the Talk Soup guy, and then he did Community. I can't remember. Joel something.
Yeah. I mean, they're always really quick to criticize when
he was on this crap. It's Seattle. I mean, a lot of those.
Besides, I've always felt that wings have been overrated. Now, the best wings in the world aren't going to help if the pilot doesn't know how to fly the plane.
No. And you know something? I would like to emphasize the point.
Joel
that
McHale, that's his name.
Encouraged to be very safety conscious.
So Joel McHale was a side player on this fucking garbage?
Get up here. Go ahead.
Wasn't he doing Talk Soup back then?
Nobody ever told me not to inspect the parts
Maybe
of
not.
the airplane. And I am not being pressured in any way by the company to say that.
The company has not threatened to fire me, nor have they called me into a dark storeroom with a lot of thugs and told me to read this or they'll fire me.
Corporate bad. Corporation's
And
bad.
after that, they didn't call me at home either, asking how would I like it if all of a sudden I didn't have a job. To which I would have said, but I didn't. You mean you're going to fire me? And then they never said, you figure it out, you moronic grease monkey. Okay, Bill, thank you. I've got more.
No,
That's okay.
that's fine.
You can go. Am I fired?
All right, let's just, can we take some more questions? Your next question.
Yeah, why is the assembly line not able to keep up with the orders for the planes?
Well, we've changed our production methods, and it takes
This
time to
isn't
adjust.
fuck.
Now, see,
This is
is what
so fucking uninteresting. It's making me mad. It's so fucking uninteresting. Who fucking cares? This is like making a comedy skit about C-SPAN. And literally doing C-SPAN. This is fucking atrocious. Atrocious. I'm not finishing this. Fuck this. Holy shit, that was bad. This is what 5 pounds of body fat looks like. No, that was fucking. I mean, how do you even follow anything about, like, do you get it? Do you get it? We're poking fun at Boeing. Like, it's not even, and they're not even doing it in a like. I mean, they're not doing it in an over the top way. They're literally just. It's like when your satire hits too close to the mark. It's no longer satire. It's just open criticism. You're making a statement about something, and you're just saying, no, it's just jokes. No, it's not satire. It's not comedy. You're not. You clearly have some sort of, like, you know, actual vested interest in this, and you're trying to make a point. It's not comedy. It's a poignant statement that's just done terribly and under the mask, the false guise of comedy, and you suck at both. The point you're making is arbitrary and really just cliche, and the comedy is fucking non-existent.
About Seattle drivers in snow. See, the world's worst drivers do the stupidest things in snow that shouldn't even be a problem. You'll see skids, slides, and smashes. John Voorhees says it's funnier than Dork. John Voorhees also says, when will the Lord lift me out of the depressing hell of my life? Writing columns that no one reads about TV shows that no one watches.
What, like this one?
Gene Godden says, what's with Voorhees? Eric Lasitas says, I saw him at a party last night and he seemed fine. Seattle drivers in snow. It's the wackiest video ever.
Get it? It's snowy. It's snowy in Seattle in the winter. It's like you take a comedy show. Oh, here's the brilliant SNL. There's Joel McHale. This must be toward the end. But you take something that everyone deals with, weather phenomenon, and you just point it out, and that's comedy. Just pointing out bad weather is comedy. Oh no! See, we put a different spin on it. We're not just saying snow. I mean, who would just laugh at snow? No, we're saying Seattle drivers in snow, because what you may not know if you don't live in Seattle is that Seattle drivers in the snow are terrible. I mean, it makes me want to strangle the screen itself. God. I think this guy's like the CEO. I've seen a couple of episodes where he comes out and does the monologue. He must be like the guy who bankrolls the whole thing.
Gosh,
or he's like the GM of the fucking the station, or
snow of '98. I'm telling you, guys were excited. It was so.
Oh, this is the
exciting.
final
All the
season.
TV stations, the weather people, they got out their special clothes because they looked at the Doppler, they saw the snow was on the way, and they said, "I'm going first. I'm the."
I mean, once again, we're discussing the weather. The weather's funny. Oh, the snow. The weather's so funny.
Number one tonight. All right, got the special stuff. We had complete coverage. I believe it snowed for about 3 hours on Monday, but we still have reporters standing by live. Yes, Gene.
That's canned laughter, by the way. That's no kind of in studio audience, that was canned laughter.
Old man was almost completely melted. It's just a little bit here. We're going to be updating you later. Wouldn't want you to miss a thing. We got you. The last flake of snow, and as you know, if there's one flake, the car everywhere. Anyway.
Because, you know, snow in
Interesting
Seattle,
story,
crazy.
You might have read this. With all the hoopla about the Titanic, someone decided to check if the Washington State ferries have enough lifeboats to carry all the passengers. Guess what? They don't.
Again, you're reporting factual information and pretending it's a joke. Oh, wanted to check on the safety of our local ferries to make sure that if anything were to possibly happen, people could get off the boat safely. You can't. You're like, it's not comedy.
Ferry officials say, don't worry, the boats are virtually unsinkable unless they hit one of the dinner rolls from the cafeteria. Then, of course, who ever heard of a Washington State ferry hitting something? Yeah, I don't really want to start a panic.
Do you live in Seattle, folks? I hope you do, because if not, these jokes are flying right over your head. It makes me so angry.
Of course, the thing about the ferries, the traffic now is so bad on the ferry routes these days.
How bad is
If
it?
the folks on the dock saw one go down, they wouldn't worry about the passengers. They'd be, oh, geez, we're going to be here another 2 hours. Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm just bitching about the quality of life in Seattle. It's funny.
There'll be a movie called Click-a-Tat. You can just imagine it, the ferry's going down, the folks in the Mercedes and the BMWs are rescued first, and people in the cheap cars.
Oh, yep, greed. Greed is bad.
Children in this Rambler, at least give us a chance. Come on.
I've come to the ultimate conclusion through many, many years of absorbing comedy, watching comedy throughout my life, that liberals just don't understand jokes. They don't get comedy. They think that you just point out, you make observations about life, and we all suffer through. We're all in this together, folks. We're all, we're wringing our hands at these things that we got to deal with, and when I point it out, you laugh because that's what we do. That's comedy. It's like, no. It's not. It's not funny. No one thinks it's funny. The reality of this is they put this shit out there. People do that. Somebody laughs, and then the laughter itself, like some sort of fucking retarded Pavlovian response amongst idiots, triggers a reaction of laughter amongst morons because they hear somebody laughing. They think something funny just happened. Oh, I better laugh because they're mental cases and they want to fit in. They may not even be following things all that closely, but they hear laughter. It triggers laughter. No thought really put in. And if you ever just stop somebody dead, like, why were you laughing? What was funny about that? Oh, it was just funny. It was like, they couldn't explain it. You tell somebody a joke, somebody laughs, and you take the one person that laughs after the other person, ask them what the joke was, and I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 they'll be like, oh, I don't know, it just sounded funny. Like, it's disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me how mediocre to bad comedy can exist for so long and no one calls it out. Well, people call it out, but it's like, I guess it's better to just pretend it doesn't exist, but then I have to stumble upon it and I'm like, I must say something about this. I don't have to.
Story on the ferry, big romantic movie, actually, there's nice romantic news locally. Pepper Schwartz, the UW sociologist, she's just written a book. You might have heard of this.
No, no one's heard of it.
The Great Sex Weekend, and it's woo. That's great.
Yeah, I said sex. I expected somebody to say woo because that's how milquetoast we are here in fucking Seattle, Washington.
It says in the book that there's a 24-hour version for people who are really busy, which is it's true. Now, we did some further investigation and found out that there's also a little wallet card version for people who only have about 10 minutes. 10 minutes to spare. we thought you might be interested in some of these quickie tips to fix up your love life. For
No,
example,
way to fuck that up, Dad.
experiment with new affectionate nicknames for your mate's love
Wow, they're
life.
really following through on this, huh?
Or hang shower curtains around the back seat of a metro bus and pretend it's a romantic train sleeper car.
More of that
Clean
great
the
Seattle
crud out
humor.
of the corners of your mouth. Read Leonard Nimoy poetry out loud together until you realize that anything would be better, even having sex with each other.
I don't think the guy knows who Leonard Nimoy is. Leonard Nimoy. It's like he just saw the name and like, I don't know. He probably thought after he said it like, oh God, it's Leonard Nimoy. Now I sound like an idiot because I said Nimoy.
Also, no KJR sports radio during foreplay.
Oh, no KJ. What the fuck is that? Ugh.
Try to put all thoughts of Larry King out of your head. And finally, pretend you're meeting each other for the first time all over again, only this time you're not drunk and the lights are on.
Yes. Oh, you got through it, buddy. You got through that terrible fucking skit.
Those are, I think, some very good suggestions on lovemaking. And now we have some equally valid advice for all you drivers out there.
Oh God, that was a terrible segue.
Roads and highways undergo major renovations. We ask for the public.
That was a
support
fucking
and
terrible
patience
segue.
on the job site.
That was an unbelievably terrible segue. I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked. That is, I haven't seen a segue that bad. I don't know if you're familiar at all with morning radio. A morning radio that utilizes like prep services and shit, where the DJ's only function is to try to create a lie that allows them to segue into their pre-made materials, their fucking prepped materials. It's even those segues that are so ham-fisted and so horseshit was not as bad as that fucking segue. I'm shocked. I'm going back. That was fucking awful. I mean, he just stops cold. I mean, you can tell he's lost it.
Some very good suggestions on lovemaking, and now we have some equally valid advice for all you drivers out there.
That's fucking awful.
Washington's roads and highways undergo major renovations.
Wow.
For the public support and patience on the job site.
If you see me holding up a sign that says slow, it doesn't mean to speed up or act like you can't see me. It means to slow down. It says it right there. S-L-O-W. Sure, if the sign said drive real fast, well, then you'd be doing the right thing.
Are they doing... Is this... You know what this seems like? It seems like a legit... Like, the Department of Transportation in Washington actually paid for these people to do a corporate video. Like industrial video, like promoting safety on the roadways for their workers, and this is legitimately it. It's not even comedy. It's like it's sanctioned and funded to be a safety video. That's the way it plays out so far, and even the production of it and the stupid Dutch camera angles and all that '90s fucking way of it reeks of this is the real deal.
But it doesn't. It says slow.
Hey, if you're driving along knocking back
There was no joke. That's what this is. I'm almost 100% positive.
a couple of beers, please don't throw the empty bottles out the window. One of them could hit us in the head and really hurt us bad. Come to think of it, drinking and driving is against the law. So why not give the beer to one of us? I could really use a cold one right now.
I mean, it says it in really big letters. I mean, if it was hard to see, I could understand. But it's not. It says it really clear. It says slow.
Sometimes I work for 2 or 3 hours in a row, and I sure do get hungry. So next time you go out, bring a sandwich along for your buddy Big Jim. Thanks a lot.
Hey, vodka too. If you got some vodka in your car, just pull
See,
over.
Joel McHale's going for something.
I won't tell nobody, okay? Vodka, whiskey.
That woman was so bad, she had me convinced that this was a legit safety video. Joel McHale's at least going for comedy. It may be poorly written, but he's at least trying. That woman is so bad, so fucking bad that she's legit doing a safety video. It could be completely mistaken for that.
Hell, cough syrup or vodka.
Are you an idiot? Is that it?
She won't get... Who thinks that's funny? It's the word slow. It says it right here. Slow. 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 We get it. We get it. Shut up.
Oh, I know. Maybe you're driving to pick up your brain. Yeah, maybe you're driving your big stupid car to go pick up your tiny, tiny brain.
Yeah, the car head. The car head.
Okay, well, how about a big frickin' bag?
Holy fucking shit. Enough. I mean, even the Joel McHale stuff, it's like, okay, it had some humor. You could sense humor was being attempted, but now they're just pushing it to the point where it's like, okay, the humor left a long time ago. It's time to leave these premises go. 2 premises. Slow means slow. Give your alcohol to us road workers because our jobs suck. There's my dogs. And they're going to drive this home over and over and over.
This has been a public service announcement from the Department of Transportation.
Most people have no clue that...
No ads. God damn it. I mean, if I would have seen that a long time ago, I'd have no sympathy for the city of Seattle or anyone who lives in it. And they could have gotten hit by a nuclear bomb. I'm like, oh, the horror that's befallen Seattle. Like, oh, well, let's not be hyperbolic here. You've seen Almost Live, right? I mean, they kind of asked for it.
He's the play-by-play guy for the
The Seattle
Seattle Supersonics.
Supersonics. He's the guy that you all know if you live in Seattle and watch sports, our local sports teams. You know, Seattle.
This is Story Time with Kevin Calabro.
Once upon a time, the 3 little pigs going up against the...
Guess what? We got the announcer for our games to read fairy tales and nursery rhymes. Isn't this going to be funny? No, because nobody fucking knows who this guy is.
The wolf got all the tools, the size, the speed, the big teeth, the claws. Meanwhile, the pigs are undersized. They're fat but slow. They're inexperienced. It looks like a classic mismatch here today, and yet you've got to root for the little pigs, don't you?
Trust me, Tom, this is going to be fantastic. This is going to be so good. People are going to laugh and laugh and laugh.
The chance here today, they're a 20-point underdog. All right, here he comes. The big bad
I hope this fucking guy
looking very confident.
got ball cancer and died 20 years ago.
Poor move by the pig.
Short, like, I hope he lives 6 years after this, long enough to see 9/11, so he could be enough of a cunt to actually worry about terrorist flying planes into, the fucking any ridiculous building in Seattle, and then shortly thereafter developing ball cancer and having a slow, painful death. This is all this man deserves. For this. For nothing more than just this. Holy fucking shit. God, I can't. I hate terrible comedy. I fucking hate it.
He's wise. He knows the secrets. He's got all the tricks. So let's see what happens. He's got the brick house thing.
I hate it.
That's a good move. A good defense and maybe one that the wolf hasn't seen before. All right.
There's nothing funny about this. How long does this fucking shit go? Okay, I'm skipping it.
It just didn't feel right. So I went to my doctor. And that's when he said the word I never wanted to hear.
Ball cancer.
Salbragonopoplasia. No one knows what causes it or even for sure what it is, but then my doctor told me about a remarkable new therapeutic medication called Mendeloxantroclastamine.
Oh, fuck me.
Within a few days, I noticed a difference. Part of that difference was a ringing in my ears. So I went to see my doctor again. And that's when he recommended oral smalfololate.
get it? You get it? Medical names are long and complicated to say. If you haven't gotten it yet, we're going to drive that point home probably 15 fucking more times. Because that's comedy in Seattle, Washington in the late 90s. Holy
Within
fucking
hours, the
shit.
ringing in my ears had completely disappeared.
And these cunts want to fucking try to tell the rest of the country how to live. They're all abominable. They should all be fucking thrown in the ocean. There should have been a fucking nuclear plant meltdown disaster in Seattle that wiped these cunts out. This is incorrigible. This is the worst. The worst. I've seen so many different people try to be funny, but this was actually sanctioned. This was paid for by by people in Seattle. They wanted this. They wanted to see this. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Somebody at that affiliate wanted this show on the air. And that the sadness that these people must have endured, knowing that this is their life. This is all that it's going to be. This milquetoast. Let's talk about Seattle. Everything local. Let's just make fun. All these Seattle folks are going to be so happy and so, he's making fun of our, we know all about the ferries and we know all about. It's so just disgustingly sad. And this guy should have eaten a bullet a long time ago. Because I know he's going to continue on with this.
So I went to see my doctor again. He told me about Prothero Marmotat 3000. I have to admit that at first the bitter taste of Prothero Marmotat 3000 was a little hard for me to tolerate. That's when my doctor told me that Prothero Marmotat 3000 is actually an ointment. For the accompanying nausea, my doctor recommended Ramitol caplets. He forgot to mention the side effects, which include severe skin eruptions, diarrhea, and bleeding from the eyes. That's when he recommended Numzidantine. Within a few hours, all feeling in my lower extremities was gone. That's when my doctor recommended Hamaltrafone HP, a 10-inch long, 2.5-inch wide suppository.
Save it. He has a chance to save it. No, he didn't save it. He could have saved that bit. He would have been kicked off the show immediately. But he could have saved that bit. He could have saved that bit with 3 words. And it's black. That would have made all that garbage that led up to it worth it to sit through just to get to that one joke. But that's edgy. That may offend people. So we can't have that. No. No. We can't have stereotypical racial humor on our squeaky clean milquetoast SNL fucking local ripoff.
Good evening. This is the Late Report. Well, the Linwood City Council is thinking about building an arts and convention center, and they say
I'm surprised more kids didn't murder their parents in their sleep in Seattle. If you came home and your parents were watching this on TV, how did you resist the urge?
Frustrated and trying to get a photo ID for himself, registered himself as a dog to show that a dog has more rights than he does. Meanwhile, his neighbors say, we don't know about that, but if he doesn't stay out of our yards, he's going to get a BB in his ass.
Oh, boy. Whew. Watch out.
Barry Mitzman from KCTS Channel 9 will host a show about this year's state legislature called Inside Olympia with Barry Mitzman.
Oh, God, we're doing the news. I wasn't even paying attention. We're doing the news now. We're doing the news. This is the Norm Macdonald thing back in the day. He's doing news. I wonder if it's going to be anything like what Norm used to do.
The show's title has brought a strong objection from movie actress Olympia Dukakis.
Oh. See? There you go. There's the comedy. Boy, I wonder how this guy never escaped Seattle. Gee, with his fucking wit.
A A ball of fire trailing orange and red flames that was reportedly seen crashing into the Columbia River in Kennewick was originally thought to have been a meteor. Scientists later determined it to be Kevin Costner's career.
Speaking of careers, what is it, 2024? Kevin Costner is involved in one of the most popular shows today, Yellowstone. Still, I mean, I'd say his career has had ups and downs, but if there's one thing you can say about Kevin Costner, it's that he's stayed pretty consistent. He's never really lost that star power edge. Whereas this guy, this is the first time I've ever seen him. It's going to be the last time I ever see him. And yeah, anyone associated with the show, with the exception of Joel McHale, is a complete fucking unknown. I mean, at least with SNL, when you have people like at SNL and shit, taking digs at people's celebrity or, oh, their career's kind of on the downswing, we're going to poke at it. That's SNL. They've got a pedigree. They're an institution where several big time comedians have come from and got their starts from. It is an institution. This is just a local hack Seattle SNL ripoff. Like, there is you couldn't do that with a straight face. This guy does, but that's probably why he's never made it out of Seattle.
Merchants in Kent and Des Moines have asked police to install video surveillance cameras along Highway 99.
Yeah, that's a good way to follow up your I'm bashing Kevin Costner's career. Kent and Des Moines, nobody knows.
Say that the video would help them to determine two things. One, if anything suspicious is going on along Highway 99 between Kent and Des Moines, and two, if anything at all is going on along Highway 99.
The only thing interesting about this part is that he calls it Des Moines. I live in Illinois, so probably 100 miles away. I mean, on the border of Illinois, and I don't even know if it's the border. In Iowa, there's Des Moines. We call it Des Moines, Iowa, not Des Moines. I'm surprised he doesn't say Des Moines. Maybe that's the colloquial difference between the West Coast and the Great Lakes region of the Midwest. When you say Des Moines, they say Des Moines. I don't know, but it's interesting to say the least. I learned a little something. Or maybe this guy's just a fuckhead and he mispronounced it. Who knows?
Between Kent and Des Moines. Well, a Seattle architect and community leader was handcuffed, separated from her child, strip-searched, and thrown in jail on New Year's Eve after police mistook her for a woman who once lied to get welfare benefits. A police spokesperson later said that they were aware of the architect's identity, but that she looked just like that other woman, and they wanted to practice on her in case someday they found the real one. Duval City Councilman Dave Ernie Zumwalt was found guilty a few days ago of selling cocaine. This means that Dave Ernie Zumwalt will soon be known as prisoner number 267 Ernie 938.
I don't think I can do this anymore. It's just not funny. And yet I hear laughter. I know it's canned laughter, but it's like, it degrades your soul after a while when you subject yourself to this. I mean, it does to me. Some people can watch this and be like, oh, we'll just mock this and whatever. Oh, look how stupid they are. I don't do that because I know these people exist and they're not, it's not all fun and games. It's not all just, I guess you could say it triggers me in a sort of way because I have a connection to this sort of this mentality. And these people control other people's lives. They control their existence, their jobs. And they force people to produce this horse shit. And I guarantee you the producers of this show are all dead. I guarantee they're all dead. they probably didn't even make it to the finale of the show, because you can't do this for too long before you just lose all confidence in your own abilities to judge anything with any particular value, because you have to lower the bar so far in order to do this kind of work to where you've lost all sense of reality. And your ability to do anything good in the world is now compromised forever. You'll never get it back. So you will forever be willing to pass through any bullshit for a paycheck, because that's what you've been conditioned to do. Whatever paycheck, whatever bullshit pays the bills is what I'll do. Guaranteeing that you will forever, throughout your life, be responsible for producing more mediocre content for the world to ingest. You will be that guy. You'll be the guy responsible for this and all other bullshit, even peripherally related to this. How you, with the knowledge of that, how you go through life and not just end it, is beyond me. Unless you're just that kind of person where you just accept it and don't give a fuck. That money is that important. Money trumps all other things.
Well, the movie As Good As It Gets, starring Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt, tells the story about a man who suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder. And here with a comment about the film is our own Nancy Guppy. Nancy?
Oh, and I wonder what she's afflicted with. Don't even give it a moment. Don't even give the audience even a second to think, I wonder what she's bringing to the table. Immediately hit him with the joke. Just pummel him right in the fucking face.
Nancy Guppy?
Well, I found the movie As Good As It Gets to really be as good as it gets. In particular, I appreciated the movie's thoughtful, serious look at obsessive-compulsive disorder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Fuck, Jesus Christ, we get it. Mediocrity, repetition. Repetition is the jewel in the fucking crested crown of horror. That is mediocre comedy. It's repetition. You know what? If they didn't laugh very hard the first time, by the time that you do it the 30th time, they'll be rolling. Repetition has never improved a joke. Ever. I take that back. If the purpose of the humor, if the purpose of the joke is the repetition, because then it could just be something so mundane and arbitrary that it doesn't, that it's not even a joke at that, like whatever, if you did it one time, it wouldn't be a joke, but it's the fact that you did it 30 times that becomes humorous. This is trying to take a joke and repeat it 30 times. The joke doesn't get any funnier. You just become more of a fucking asshole.
6, 7, an often joked about and misunderstood disease.
That's not funny.
In the capable hands of Jack Nicholson, obsessive-compulsive disorder is portrayed as
Oh my God, it goes on so fucking long. No fucking way. No fucking way.
Thank you.
I have no tolerance. Yes, we get it.
That's fine. Okay.
So many minutes and then they continue to drill it.
Finally, Mary Kay Letourneau may gain custody of
I
her
remember
baby
her.
in 3 to 6 months. The father of the infant was unavailable for comment because he was out at recess. This is the Live Report. Stay with us because we're coming right back.
They get sued for that.
Did it cost to fill your tank? Almost up.
It's so hard. It's so difficult for me to actually just watch this because it's so terrible. I get no joy out of it. Hey, Super Mario RPG. I remember that.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Wow.
Man, this guy he so has like general manager energy. He is the fucking feature. He's got to be the big enchilada at that station because he's all over it. Could you imagine? I mean, if that's the background story, like, well, folks, we're sorry to say that Bob, the GM, has decided he wants to put a show on late night, Saturday nights, a comedy show, much in the vein of SNL, but he wants to host the show, be a featured performer in the show. He wants to do the news segments in the show. He wants to be featured in most of the skits in the show. And he's not good at comedy. Not even the slightest. But he is the boss, so if you like your job and you want to stay here a little longer, you're just going to have to accept it, put on a big smile, and let the boss have his little magical show. I feel so sorry for anyone associated with this. I truly do, because I have to believe. I've been saying here shit talking Seattle, but I have to believe that the people who have worked on the scenes behind this show, if they're still alive, only put this up because they want to show just how terrible life for them was. They want some sort of evidence out there in the world of the horror and the pain that they had to endure. They couldn't possibly, as actual real people, they couldn't have thought this was funny. They couldn't have thought this was funny. But they were subjected to it. All the same. I feel for them. They've got my sympathy now.
Mess here. Boy, I'll tell you, if my dad came home and he found a mess like that, I'm telling you, he would have whooped me like, I don't even want to tell you. But hey, I'm glad that you and I have broken that cycle of violence in families, because that's really important that we... Hey, Brandon, buddy, hey. Now, remember at family meeting how we said that Mommy and I have our responsibilities, but you
Family
have your
meeting?
responsibilities too.
Something tells me this isn't even a joke. Like, this isn't even like a put on or whatever. This is like shit he actually has in his own life.
Brandon?
He's pulling from,
buddy?
personal stories.
Glad that Nintendo is giving you that good hand-eye coordination, but I was thinking maybe we could use that hand-eye coordination.
Nintendo's in Seattle. Nintendo of America. Yeah. Not in Seattle. I think it's in Reading. It's in Washington, though. Boom. Staying local. I mean, if you really consider if this 98 PlayStation 2 is already out. Like,
Buddy? Brandon, buddy? Okay, listen. It's going to be your choice, okay? Your choice. Do you want to pick up the Legos first or the blocks first? It's all up to you. It's your choice.
this isn't interesting or funny.
Hey, Brandon, buddy, look. It's going to be like a game between Brandon and Dad. You throw it here, it's just going to be just like a... Hey! Now listen, you pick up this crap and you pick it up right now! What the hell is wrong with you? Buddy?
Canned laughter. And this is how I know it's canned laughter, because the laughter you're hearing now is the same as the studio audience laughter during the live segments. This is a pre-taped segment, and you get the same laughter. You can make the argument, oh, no, it's the live audience that was watching the show. They're watching the pre-taped segment, and they're laughing. They're recording that. Don't fool yourself. This is all canned laughter, and no one's laughing at this. This guy is a fucking sinister bastard. He's the responsible party. He's the one who has to pay.
There you go. Okay. It's buddy. Brandon and Dad. We're buddies. We're partners. It's Brandon and Dad. Good job, buddy. Good job.
He talks to his employees that way, too. See, all about him.
Just a little bit of fiction. Not at all like that in our house. Remember, kids, I love you. I love you, kids. Anyway, if you'd like some tickets for the show, call this number.
Who would ever,
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
ever want to go see that live? Now, I know what you're thinking. There was a live audience right there. That disproves your theory about the canned laughter. Maybe so. But if that's the case, then I'm going back to my original sentiment that Seattle and Washington should be bombed into the Stone Age. If that was the actual reaction of people in a live audience and they weren't being prompted and it wasn't canned laughter, yes, Seattle needs to be wiped off the fucking map. I could say that solely for the fact that, well, just the behavior of anyone in Seattle, Washington for the past, 20 years. That would justify it. But this takes the cake. This is fucking god-awful. No, that's 60 minutes long. The Almost Live special, Guide to Living in Seattle. Oh, I'd rather eat a bullet. I would rather suffocate myself. I'd rather drown myself than watch that. This one's 31 minutes. Man, they just love their fucking... An almost live special. Oh, that actually looks new. Oh, that looks new.
Tonight, on an almost special edition of Evening, grab your Speedwalker suit.
They still air this. Oh my god. Okay. Wow, I never suspected that they are actually, not ironically at all, re-airing this because they thought it was good. Holy fucking shit. Oh my god.
Walk that train down. Take a spin with Ballard Driving Academy.
That's it. Just keep moving. That's good.
And make an appointment at the Linwood Beauty Academy.
You can never have too much of a good thing.
It's an almost tribute to Almost Live.
God. I just saw Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl was on... No, there's no possible way Dave Grohl's on that show.
Welcome to the show from South Lake Union. I'm St. Brian, and we are at MOHI, the Museum of History and Industry, which is celebrating Almost Live, the King 5 comedy show that taught Seattle...
You've got to be fucking shitting me. They got a fucking museum for that shit?
Delightful trip down memory lane.
Oh, wow, that goes way back.
Oh my god, I want all these people to die.
Are among the first to get a sneak peek at an exhibit celebrating a show that first aired on King 5 40 years ago.
Okay, there's a Johnny.
I know,
There's a Johnny shirt.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. They were so garish, but they were great, actually.
It was a show made by talented people.
No,
who
it
weren't
wasn't.
just smart and funny.
No, they weren't.
Behind the scenes, they all needed to have a special talent just to make things happen.
I called it guerrilla
Yeah,
television.
prostituting
I think
themselves.
We all did this. Like, we need to do this, and we would just like fashion stuff together and build it from scratch.
Oh man, Speedwalker. Oh, there's the shorts.
Did he make that himself?
Yeah, probably.
Speedwalker! Heel toe! Heel toe! There were sketches that made us laugh at neighborhood stereotypes.
Laughing
Made
at
us all
stereotypes
feel a
is
little more at
bad.
home.
That's offensive.
It wasn't mean. We weren't mean-spirited. It was super community in a way.
Oh
Now
god, I
this
want to strangle them all.
It's having its moment.
I want them
in a
all
museum.
dead.
Just because something is a museum doesn't mean that it's old. It means that it's interesting and it's valuable. And
Look
I
at
think
this
this is
bitch.
a story that a lot of Seattleites love, that people connected with this show. It brought smile.
I'm sorry. There's a reason why Seattle is nothing but street kids, drug addicts, and this. It is a culmination of all the horrors and of the world. All the horrors of humanity exist in Seattle. Why would you ever want to go there? Why would you ever want to live there? Because on one spectrum, you have kids prostituting themselves out for drug money. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have people who think this is funny.
Mask their faces.
I can't. I tried my best.
Why is Amazon paying me $63?
Fuck off. I tried my best to give them the benefit of the doubt. To think that this King 5 Seattle was bringing the show, showing the show because they knew it was cringe and they knew it was trash and they wanted to get a little bit of traction on it for that from the internet. and those production, and the memory of the production people who had to suffer through these cunts. I never in a million years would have imagined that they're proud of this. They are fucking proud of it.
Almost
They have a
Live, Almost
fucking
an exhibit
museum
opens Saturday here
for
at
it.
Mohi.
Oh
And
my
since we have some of our former
God.
cast members here, we asked our friends to
There are
introduce
certain-
their favorite
there are
sketch.
just certain
Let's
things
start
that
with Nancy Guppy.
you don't
So
put on the
presenting
internet.
Alan was me, Tracy Conway, and Bob Nelson, and the basic
Presenting
bit
for
was
what?
I was introducing Tracy to my new boyfriend, and we proceed to rip him apart in front of him, all the things we need to change to make him into the man that he really needs to be.
Okay, before you say anything at all, I mean, his hair is going to be totally different. This is way too 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it kind of away from his face. And maybe a little longer in the back, you think?
It's nice, though.
And of course, new frames. I mean, something that doesn't make him look like such a turtle. Huh. But not too John Lennon-y. No.
It was never mean. It was never mean-spirited. It was community. It's funny how that always works out for people who are like, and I'll admit that was an edgy joke considering the show, calling someone turtle. Oh, he looks like a turtle. Employing a stereotype. You know, somebody has those round glasses and kind of a goofy, nerdy look. Oh, he's a turtle. That's about as deep on the spectrum of edgy comedy as you get in Seattle, Washington, apparently. But they're recounting this as like, oh, look at the fun we had. Look at the fun. Oh, it's so wonderful. Can't we all just remember the fun times when we just got together and did our thing and everyone laughed?
Oh,
It's
that wouldn't fit his face at all.
and now they're just going to do the whole fucking. They're doing the whole. They're showing you the whole skit.
Show starring
Fuck
comedian
you.
Ross Schaefer. One night they asked a staff writer and kind
Comedian.
of a science buff to help fill some time, and a legend was born.
A
This
legend was
is how it happened.
born.
Here's an ordinary onion.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Okay, now how would you dice it? You'd use a cutting board, maybe a knife.
Right, yeah.
Take you a few minutes, right?
Okay. In the liquid
Into the
nitrogen
liquid
it goes.
nitrogen. Doesn't take long at all. It's a time saver.
More than 30 years later, Bill Nye, the science guy, has taught the world that science rules.
No, I would argue that he has done more damage to science in the past 20 years, especially the past 4 years, than anyone else in the science community throughout the history of science and the Catholic Church. He has done such horrible damage to science with his not really being a science, because he's not a scientist. He's a fucking engineer. He's an engineer. And they made him a science guy on this. Now you understand. You have to understand. He goes out there and portrays himself. He plays the role of a scientist. This is where it started. This trash show that no one could have possibly thought was funny. It's like aliens came down, took over a city, and tried to convince the world, and have been for the past 30 years trying to convince the rest of the world that they're not aliens and that this is the way that humans are supposed to behave. And it's mind-blowing. It's fucking mind-blowing. I cannot fucking believe 1 month ago this was posted. These fucking people are unbelievable. I
Caught up with Bill recently to learn more about his
no,
origin story.
I'm not. No.
Before he was Bill Nye the Science Guy, he was just a guy working as an engineer at Boeing when he happened to pop into a comedy club.
And they had a Steve Martin lookalike contest, and I won.
That led to a friendship with Ross Schaefer, the original host of King's comedy show, Almost Live.
I've crossed paths with Ross at comedy clubs and John Keister
I
at
hate my
comedy
life.
clubs. And so they said, hey, do you want to help write for the show? And I said, okay. And then I started submitting
See,
jokes.
that
to
right there, that shot, that's Bill Nye. That's probably closer to the actual legit Bill Nye than what he has portrayed himself as for the past fucking 30 plus years. That's closer to who he actually is. Yet he has been for ages pulling on, duping people into believing he's some sort of fucking scientist when his whole shtick, the whole bullshit of his life was created by this fucking terrible show. It originated here. I wish this King 5 Seattle was legit just trying to expose him as a fraud and showcase how everyone's been duped. But they're proud of it. They're fucking proud of it. I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. Hello, Red Feather. I feel like I went back in time 3 years. Well, I didn't do it last night because I had some stuff to do, but today my thing didn't happen the way I thought it would, so I figured I'd come down here. Did you see everyone bitching about Trump working at McDonald's today? I saw a little bit about him being at McDonald's, but that's what people do on the fucking, that's what people do on the campaign trail. They do goofy shit like that. Is it because you show? No. I never heard of this show. This show sucks. This is a show called Almost Live. And it's a Seattle, Washington based SNL ripoff that had been going on for too many years. And it's just atrocious. It's fucking horrible. There's no humor to be found. Joel McHale was part of this crap. I don't know how he ever escaped the fucking black hole-like vortex of anti-comedy that this show is, but he did. Bill Nye was on, he was made by this show. But I had my thoughts. I had my belief of what this show actually was. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I could not believe that people would hate themselves so much to be a fan of this show. I guess they're butthurt because he made fun of Kamala lying about working at McDonald's or something. Oh, I don't know. I really honestly don't follow the fucking, I don't follow any of the politics. I don't give a fuck. We're going to have a president one way or the other. Nothing's really going to change. To me, I don't know. It is what it is. The funny thing about Trump is like, hatred has a shelf life. And they spent that nickel. They really have. And it's blowing up in Democrats' face because they pushed so hard for so long and people just don't give a fuck anymore. It's a broken record. So now they're just actually like, well, let's see what else he has in store. Let's see what he's got going on. And now they're coming around to, you know what? He doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. And everything that they did is blowing up in their face. And you know where it all stems from? This fucking show. This Seattle cunt face show. Oh my God. Seattle is the reason our country has spiraled into the fucking toilet. And it's this show. I now have video proof. Video fucking proof. I'm going back to my belief that Seattle was taken over by aliens, and these aliens have been they've been trying to persuade the rest of the country to deviate away from their human behavior and adopt their style and sensibilities, which is a parody of what human interaction and human behavior is. They don't understand. When they came to our planet, they didn't understand us. So they did this horrible parody of us. But now they've been propagating that parody out into the world, and now they're saying, no, but this is the way you all must behave, the way we are. And if you don't, we're going to destroy you. The only way we know how, through shitty politics and festering liberal hipsterdom, infiltrating your cities and populating, spreading the disease everywhere you can find it. So all of your local policies are changed to our way of thinking. I swear HR originated from Seattle, Washington. It had to have. And it's all part of the alien conspiracy. I don't know what the aliens' sole intent is to try to shift human behavior to the more mediocre, milquetoast, and mundane, but I have video evidence confirming my fears that Seattle, Washington is in fact the breeding ground for an alien takeover. Absolutely. And Bill Nye is the human arbiter. He is the representative of the American people who first drank the Kool-Aid and is now working with them. It turned against his own people and is working with them to annihilate the human race. They did have Chaz, and that's true. They had Chaz. That could have been the good people of Seattle resisting the aliens' influence. They finally said, enough of this fucking show, enough of this mediocrity. We're done with it. We can't have it anymore. That's not what it is. Chaz is an outcropping of the conflict that breeds when you try to tell people against their better nature how to behave. They know inside of them, no. I can't be this woke. No one can be this woke. So they're like, and they go crazy. And they're like, we're just going to shut everything down. We don't know who's right. We don't know who's telling the truth. We have to suspect everyone because our entire city is infested with aliens and they're so ingrained in our society. We can't tell who the aliens are anymore. Is it you? Is it you? We don't know. So now we have to suspect everyone and everyone's a potential villain. We have to, it's like rebelling against everything and nothing at the same time. And it's because of this show. This show is video. I can't get enough of it. It's video evidence of everything that I've ever thought tonight. Now, those people were retards that thought they could grow vegetables on cardboard. Yeah. But where do you think you get that kind of weird off-kilter thought process? That's like something an alien would think up. Or at least something an alien would try to convince a rational person would work. And they see it and they do it and they're like, I see my family and my neighbors and everyone else I know trying to make this work. And they try and they try. And even though it doesn't, they'll keep convincing each other and themselves, no, it'll work. It's shared lunacy, a shared delusion that's going on there. And these people witness it and they're just like, what do we do? Because are we the crazy people? Am I crazy because I see this going on and I can acknowledge the fact that this does not gel with my mindset and my thought process, but yet I see everyone else around me behaving as though it's normal. Like, am I crazy? Are they all crazy? How do I cotton to this? How do I rationalize this? I can't be the sole sane person in a sea of insane people unless there's a reason, unless there's a deeper meaning and a conspiracy at the very core of it. And yes, that conspiracy is an alien takeover of the city of Seattle, Washington, many, many moons ago. To what end, we still have no way of knowing for sure. Because in reality, their efforts have been as milquetoast as their comedy. So they try to make these changes and they try to put out there in the world that their way of living is the way all of humans should adopt all these principles and adopt all these policies and become better. You could say they're almost trying to institute some sort of new evolution for humankind, but it's so mundane that no one wants it. No, and it causes like tics in people. Like they like, yeah, I guess, just mediocrity is good. I guess I can accept that. And they deep down inside of them is the human instinct, the animal instinct to fight against that. Like, no, we want brutality. We want edginess. We want to laugh at people's misfortune. We want to laugh at people's shortcomings and differences. We want to be like anyone else on the planet. But we can't, because we are part of an organization that is trying to convince everyone that all that must be wiped clean. We all must see each other as these weird, neutral, gray entities and treat each other with modicums of respect that have never been doled out in the history of mankind. All in the service of building mediocrity up into something that can be celebrated and worshipped. Turning everyone into a comedian. It is equitable outcome. Maybe that's what the aliens want. Maybe that's what DEI really is. It is a product of human evolution brought to us by this new arrival of aliens that have taken over Seattle, Washington, who are now trying to convince us that the only way forward is not black or white or brown or yellow, but gray. This show is proof. It is absolute proof. When was the Space Needle built? Oh, that's a good question. Let's find out. It was built in the Seattle Center for the 1962 World's Fair. So 1962 is when the Space Needle was built. Fucking crazy. Now, the question is, was the Space Needle built as a way to communicate to the alien homeworld to bring them here? Or was it built by the space aliens as a symbol of their dominance within the city of Seattle? Like, one could argue, since we don't know the motives of the space aliens, we have to assume, we could assume multiple things. I don't believe it's an invasion because there's obviously too few. The city of Seattle is not a dominant force in the world. There's not enough of them to actually constitute an invasion force. Their motives are clearly under the guise of pretending to be human, infiltrating and propagating some sort of change within human behavior. And doing it in a region of the country that has some of the most influence in pop culture and the general, especially during the 90s, very, very highly influential area of the country. Their ideas are to, through passive means, because that's also part of the gray that they're propagating, through passive means, non-aggressive means, trying to condition the animal instincts out of human beings and get us to be more evolved as they are. But we cannot accept this. What else was a major world event in 1962? I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't around then, so I don't know. Let's see. News of 1962. What major events happened in 1962? The Cuban Missile Crisis. The space race. John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. The Civil Rights Movement. Activists won victories against segregationists in American South. The Vietnam War. Again. The World's Fair. Independence of Uganda. Nobody gives a fuck about that. Seriously. No, I'm doing it as well. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, my background just changed. That was weird. They're clued in. They know I'm getting close. The space. Oh, that's fucking insane. Wow. John Glenn orbits the Earth. Makes you really think. We made tremendous gains in technology based on the space race. It's almost like it appeared out of thin air. One could argue that it was inspired. A lot of people made the cases of Area 51 and Roswell and the aliens landing. Maybe aliens did land. Maybe that shit is absolutely true. The aliens landed at Roswell. We set up Area 51 to analyze their spacecrafts, and in turn, we in 1960s created our own spacecrafts to penetrate the atmosphere and send humans for the first time off the planet. But we had these crashed alien refugees. We didn't know what to do with them. We couldn't keep them at the base, obviously. We couldn't send them back into space because their ship's all busted up. They can't go back. So they're sort of like, they're immigrants. They're the first true immigrants. Hence, all the focus on immigration that's plagued our country for the past 50 years. So what do we do with them? What do? We send them somewhere that's more suitable to their environment that they're comfortable with, which is the cold of space. They're on a ship. They're traveling the cosmos. It's cold in space. It's sterile in space. It's very, very mundane and boring. You'd almost say that the conditions are very drab and gray. So where would be a good place to stick our newfound alien friends who've crashed on our planet? Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington, a place where it rains 364 days out of the year. Seattle, Washington, that has no real positive or negative influence on our country whatsoever. And then they erect. They come there and they erect the Space Needle. The Space Needle is significant because we have the space race and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis plays in. It does. Because world's going to war. Tensions with Russia, Soviet Union, and the United States are heating up. But what happened before the Cuban Missile Crisis? You remember? It was the U-2 flight that went down over Russia. That's sort of the thing that kind of set this thing off. Because it was the paranoia of spying that took the center stage on the world front. America spying on over Russia with their crazy planes that fly and it wasn't necessarily, it was two front, really. It was, they have these planes that allow them to fly over undetected and take pictures. But that was discovered when the plane was shot down. What they realized, it's like, how did America create a plane that was undetectable to our radar up to this point? How did they have these technological advancements? Where are they getting this information? The aliens. The aliens were key in the instrumental development of the U-2 spy plane. And this information was supposed to be top secret and allow America to fly their planes undetected and spy on whoever they wanted. But unfortunately, it was intercepted. And Russia found out. Now it's exposed to the world. But they couldn't, it was technology that wasn't so space age advanced at that point to where you could make the argument that it was aliens. But they knew there was something afoot. So in order to bury this, they sent a man into space. Because the space race is going on. We have our rockets from development from World War II. But we're just sending up monkeys and dogs, We don't know. We're just blasting shit out into the atmosphere and seeing what comes back. It could be a steak. It could be alive. Who knows? But when we start sending people out there, no more Sputniks, no more fried dogs. We got people out there now, so we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the Grand Exodus, which is part of it's part of the evolution as well. But going back to Seattle is basically it's the Israel of the Midwest. Seattle, Washington is the Israel for aliens in our country. That is where we stuck them because we had nowhere else to put them. It was more like the environment they're used to, and it gave them an opportunity to learn and grow in our culture and know more about us. But unfortunately, what the politicians and the government and the military men of that era didn't realize is the influence that they would one day wield and the power that they would muster over time. And it came to fruition the day the Space Needle was built. Because the Space Needle, you could argue, activated them. Now, they were just stranded. They were just, their ship busted up, got sent to the Earth. They're meeting with all these humans. But they could have just been a scouting force. So the aliens that sent them may have just thought they died. May have thought, they just, the ship crashed in the atmosphere. We lost them. It was a bold mission, but it ended in tragedy. We won't repeat that until the Space Needle was created. When the Space Needle was created, it acted as a communications tower for the aliens who now currently live within the Seattle, Washington, and it allowed them to beacon back to their home world and say, we are alive, we are here, and the plan is on. Send the rest, boys. We're doing the mission. And that's exactly what they did. And more aliens filtered into Seattle, Washington. And more of them, it became Invasion of the Body Snatchers at that point. Because in a lot of cases, people were just changing. People's behavior processes were changing. What they thought was funny is changing. What they thought was good music was changing. Everything started to take on this veneer of, well, we're so much more advanced than the rest of the world. We're so much more advanced than all these other places. And also, when you really consider it this, Microsoft, where are they from? Where are they originated out of? Washington. What spawned out of that? All the computer systems that we have in our country. Where did Bill Gates get the idea? Because he didn't create Windows. No. His story is that it was a developer for Xerox who originally came up with the initial GUI system, and that he adopted it to himself and marketed his own version of it. That's a nice cover story. The reality is that this was a deal brokered from the aliens. No, wait a minute. Maybe it's not even that. Who's to say Bill Gates isn't just an alien? Maybe the whole thing was a cover story. I mean, if you really think about it, it is revolutionary technology that just seemed to spawn out of nowhere. And that's the kind of thing that the aliens were propagating upon our species. It was not only just a change of our behaviors, an overall overhaul of our animalistic tendencies, but it was also this influx and infusion of new ideas and new technology. This is the genesis of our change in the 80s and 90s. No, he didn't steal the idea from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, if anything, stole it from Bill Gates. Because it was Xerox that actually... Or was it Steve Jobs that stole it from Xerox? One of the two stole it from Xerox. An engineer at Xerox came up with the GUI system. Graphical user interface. Because everything before that was just prompt code and things like that. Xerox created that GUI system to run, I guess, copiers. But yeah, one of those two stole it. I think it was Bill Gates. But I could be wrong, because the Lisa came out way before way before DOS and way before Windows. And that was the first system, I think, that implemented a GUI system that hit the public market. And then the Macintosh came out, and that was the one that everyone remembers. That preceded Windows by a while. I don't know. I was foggy on the story. Remember hearing Jobs and Gates were partners at some point. Like early 2000s, I think. They were in competition with one another for sure. But I think Gates actually took it. I'm pretty sure it was Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak that stole the GUI from Xerox to create Mac OS. But Bill Gates stole it from them because Bill Gates had already had MS-DOS. And DOS wasn't even Bill Gates. I mean, I guess I got to go that. Like, disk operating system was not Bill Gates. Somebody else wrote that. That was somebody else's operating system, and he just took it. And that's why it's MS-DOS, because he applied his own horseshit to it and then his own marketing strategies, and boom, now he's selling that and outperforming IBM's fucking OS because it was just scaled down. It was more, what do you call it? User friendly. Like, people could, developers had better access to MS-DOS, allow them to develop their own programs on. They weren't as bogged down by licenses as IBM was putting on them. And Apple suffered the same thing too. Once they integrated into the Mac and the GUI system, they started really hammering down these restrictions for development kits. I mean, you kind of had to buy into the architecture. It just wasn't open-ended like Microsoft was. But Windows was basically an offshoot of that. I mean, because Macintosh wasn't really that popular. Bill Gates saw what Steve Jobs was doing, and he's like, we can do that, but we can just make it more popular. And he did, because Microsoft had, with MS-DOS, had already gotten distribution through IBM systems. Once they got IBM to start carrying MS-DOS preloaded on their computers, the sky was the limit for Bill Gates. So all he had to do was then develop the GUI, and then boom, like now he's the golden boy of the GUI operating system, even though it wasn't his. I had to break kayfabe here because that's actually how the story goes. Now, back in the day before Apple and Microsoft existed, no, I don't think they ever knew each other back before Microsoft. They certainly didn't they weren't from the same region, I don't believe, and I know they didn't go to the same schools. I'm pretty sure Bill Gates dropped out of college. I think Jobs and Wozniak, Jobs was in California, I think. I'm trying to think, like, Gates was operating out of his garage. Like, they were mailing out their operating system out of like a fucking garage, trying to get play out of it to, I mean, they go to like PC magazines and PC enthusiast magazines, take out ads and try to sell their operating system until they could get prolific enough to push that fucking thing out there and make deals with like the big brokerages to carry it. Because, sorry, I just read something that was weird. Was that all in 1962? Hold on. Who was Ernie Kovacs? That name sounds familiar. I don't know. Sorry, I got I 1960, Vietnam War after trip, Vietnam, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I read something that caught my interest, but I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I don't know what the hell it was, so I'm just going to ignore it. See, now I've completely lost my train of thought. Sometimes you go off on a tangent, you get lost in the weeds. But the reason why is because this show sucks so fucking bad that I would create my own fiction about why it exists just to try to explain it away to make myself less angry. Because it's that fucking terrible. Before you got here, I was saying that this version of Bill Nye is the real Bill Nye. This is Bill Nye. This is the engineer at Boeing that walked into their studios. This is not the science guy that they've been trying to put out there in the world ever since. This is your Bill Nye. But you take this guy, put him on cable television and have him talk about how we have to trust the science involving COVID and how we have to mask up and social distance. You're going to listen to that guy, this trucker-looking motherfucker? Yeah. It's amazing what our media, liberal media overlords will convince us is reality. Like, take this fucking engineer from ex-engineer from Boeing and then make him the arbiter of science. Listen to Bill Nye. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, when it comes to like building planes and aeronautics and things like that, yeah, I'm sure he was incredibly smart. But not when it comes to fucking biology and, virology. What the fuck would he possibly know? He was an engineer. You were saying Bill Nye is responsible for Seattle being taken over. He wasn't responsible for it. He was the go-between. He was the guy he was the human who said, I can make this work with the aliens. Maybe he started to having sex with one. I don't know. Maybe he decided, man, these aliens are pretty hot. I think we're going to bang one. And now he had a weird relationship that bore some child out of it, and that was the union. And so he is now there. But that doesn't make sense, because then the child of Bill Nye and the alien would be like some sort of solar system messianic sort of, prophecy realized, the coming of the child, the union of... Maybe the union never took... Maybe he tried to bang... Maybe he just liked banging the alien, but couldn't actually produce a child because, the physiology is so different. But he really enjoys banging aliens. So he became a traitor of his own race and his own people to usher in this new reality of, we need to be more like the aliens that I'm trying to fuck. I love fucking aliens so much that I want to be an alien, but I live with the realization that I will never be one. But as long as I can fuck one, that's good enough for me. So, since I can't, and so he's like, let me explain to the rest of the world how great it is fucking aliens by promoting their geoengineering, social engineering process to elevate all of society. Because he doesn't just want to fuck aliens. He wants everybody fucking aliens. He thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everybody's got to get in on this. But you can't just go out and tell people, dude, there are aliens here, and you can fuck them, and it's great. Trust me, I'm Bill Nye. He's got to be a diplomat. He's got to be, because the whole point is, there's so much, especially in America, and especially during those periods where it's like, Cold War, a lot of distrust of other cultures and other nations that's still really relevant in our society. It's like, he knows, you tell people there's aliens, it doesn't matter how good the sex is, there's going to be problems, because America fears the rest of the world. And if they fear the rest of the world, imagine how they're going to take aliens. So he's like, no, these aliens are good, and everything they say and do is good. I am a believer in the aliens. So whatever these aliens want, I'm down for. And they want, as all aliens want, to elevate humankind. But these aliens suck. I guess that's my point. These aliens are terrible aliens. And their idea of evolving humans beyond their animalistic tendencies is, all it's doing is making our society and our culture and our interactions with one another just mundane, grossly boring, and it makes everyone deep inside of them feel like killing themselves, because that's their animal tendency, just clawing its way to the surface, trying to get out. It doesn't want to be restrained like that. It doesn't want to be told, no, you're wrong. We got to get rid of you. It fights back. It claws back. And that's why there's been a significant uptick in depression, not only in Seattle, Washington, but throughout the entire United States. I mean, it started in Washington, Seattle. Everyone used to say, like, the suicide rate in Seattle, Washington is the highest in the nation. You know why? Has nothing to do with weather. They always said, oh, well, it's the weather. No, it's not the weather. Has nothing to do with the fucking weather. Has everything to do with the aliens and their propagation of the milquetoast world, where we all get along, the woke world. Well, the woke philosophy is their desire to elevate us beyond our animal instincts and our animalistic tendencies. But inside we want to be animals. So we rally against it. We fight against it. And those who succumb to it, those who are forced under pressure through politicians, through their work, through their children, through anything, any influences that cause them to any threat to their naturalistic existence, they have to suppress it. In the face of all else, all others who have drank the Kool-Aid, they must suppress this nature inside of them. And to be more accepted amongst the aliens, amongst their peers who have adopted this, they now have to struggle and fight against their own natural instincts. And that's what causes the deep sadness and internal hatred of themselves that brings about an increased suicide rate. But now that has started to filter out. Ever since like the Space Needle was created, it's filtered out into the nation. And that's why in the 90s, we started as a nation to see this uptick in school shootings and mass shootings in work. And all of these instances of people going bonkers and just killing everyone they know. It's because it's that the outspreading, the fanning out of this completely unhuman-like behavioral process that people are now forcefully trying to instill and place upon others who have that natural animalistic tendency. Because when we were able to foster our own individuality and our ability to say, I'm an American, I'm free, I'm an individual, and I can live how I want, die how I want, raise my kids how I want, and I may not be I may never be president, I may never be an astronaut, but at least I am me and I can live the way I want. Everything was great. No one was wanting to mow down their coworkers back when that was okay. It all came about when these jobs started instituting something called human resources. Human resources. Just think about the term human resources. Doesn't that just sound alien? Doesn't that sound like a complete a process or an idea that has developed by someone who's non-human? A way to manage human behavior, human resources. And it was this infiltration into the very lifeblood of what keeps our society going, our workplace, that posed upon us the implicit threat that if you do not agree to these terms, you will die. You will die in the worst way that humans can know. You and your family will starve to death because you will not be able to provide for yourselves because you will not accept these terms that we have graciously provided you. And there was a testing period for that ever since the aliens came over the decades that came before. But they realized over time it's just not working. We can't take the passive approach. We have to be more aggressive. Human resources is born. Human resources infiltrates every corporate workplace from the late 80s on into the 90s. As it grew and as it perpetuated, people started to revolt. Whether they knew it or not, they started to resist. And through their resistance, it manifested in many ways. And mass shootings and workplace murders were one of those manifestations that grew out of that. People couldn't take it. And then it started to filter down to the children because we couldn't stop at just the workplace. Now we had to infuse the concept of equality of outcomes directly to the kids because they realized this evolutionary process is not occurring fast enough. It's not taking place as fast as we would like it. We have to go to the source. We have to go straight to the kids and indoctrinate them and get them. Maybe that will work. Maybe that will, because the workplace violence thing had been an uptick since the 80s. Since human resources and HR had become a thing, and they started implementing these policies into those places, they could see the resistance. And they just assumed that maybe these humans are too far along in their own thought processes and their own animalistic tendencies to be cured, and to evolve. So they're too far down the path. We cannot change them. But if we go to the kids, we get them at a young age, and we infuse this evolution of thought and behavior into them, we will see change because they're not already corrupted. They're not already tainted by their animal instincts. Not enough, at least. But they were wrong. They were absolutely wrong because we're born out of we are born out of our mother's wombs. It is an animalistic process in itself, the birth. Everything about the propagation of the species is a very animalistic tendency. It's a violation of our own animal instincts to deviate away from that. But that's what the aliens are trying to do. And we feel it. Even kids could feel it, and they can resist it. And they understand that there is something wrong within the system itself. There's something that's telling me things that I cannot possibly relate to or feel, but I have no power over it. Because the only time you ever get a pushback of violence is when someone feels trapped and they feel like they can't, there's nothing left that they can do. They've been cornered, they've been pushed down and controlled. And the only way to get out is through violence. They respond negatively. And that's what we've seen. We've seen it for quite a while now. And it doesn't end because the propagation of this alien influence into our society has not ended. If anything, it's only grown, and it's gained traction. It's spread further. It's infiltrated even farther into our teaching, our politics. Everything in our society has now been manipulated by this alien influence. And it almost feels like it came to a place where it would win. And I think that's where Donald Trump stands out, because Donald Trump understands the alien influence. He understands what's really going on. And that's why he decided he had to become president, because he saw the aliens for what they were and what they intended to do. And he knew he had the power to push back. He had the power to rally humans with their animal instinct, to appeal to that animal nature within themselves, to push back, because he knew that's how you had to do it. You couldn't do it with reason. You couldn't do it with rationality. You couldn't do it by playing the games that they wanted to play. You had to do it with the thing that you were born with, your animal instincts and integrity. That's the thing that would save all humanity. So what does he do? He goes out there. He calls Roseanne Barr a pig. He calls everyone else that's on that fucking, the podiums with him and on that stage with him jerks and losers. And he appeals to every just primal nature that we have as people. And we all collectively say, this is what we miss. This right here. This man represents all the things that we forgot, that they've been trying to remove through generation after generation, to just wipe clean and pretend does not exist, to change history, eradicate our memory, revamp words, change the meaning of words so they no longer have any relevance hundreds of years down the road, to try to wipe out any sort of aspect of animalistic nature within our own society. Trump is the last bastion of our defense. He is tapping into something for us, for all of us, that is so primal that if we don't respond, we will lose the war and the aliens will win. And that's why he'll be he'll be assassinated before before the election, because he's too much of a threat to the alien overlords' plan. They're so close now to achieving their goal of rewriting human history to achieve their elevated state of being. They're so close now. Because what happens now after this election and after Trump is that they can finally go the full board. Because so much ever since COVID and through DEI and all these other processes that have reached the mainstream, it's just been this process of like, we'll put a little bit out there, see how people respond. Put a little bit out there, see how people respond. And at this point, they've understood that they don't have to wear the mask anymore. They don't have to employ the kid gloves techniques and be so subversive. They can put it right out there now. So once Trump has been assassinated and Kamala Harris gets installed as our next president, they will have the final ability to instill into the entirety of the United States the stopgap measures that will prevent any sort of return to animal desires from ever becoming a thing. They will do so through transgenderism. Hear me out. The entire goal of the aliens is to remove all aspects of animalistic tendencies within humans to create the evolution of our kind. The only way they can do that is to get all humans to forget any connection they had to any animalistic tendencies they have. All of them, including natural sex. The only way to ensure that we can get rid of natural sex is to make sex itself unnatural. And in order to do that, we have to all adopt a policy or an understanding. We all have to be infused with gender dysmorphia. We all have to confuse ourselves to the point where we do not understand what a man and a woman is anymore. And it becomes this amalgam of ideas that we can't even really draw any direct conclusions to from our past, because we've already eradicated most of our history on the subject in service of making it to where we can't tell the difference anymore. We have no basis or reference anymore. All we have is what's in front of us and what we have in front of us at the moment and what we have in our future. We can only look forward into our present. Our history is null and void. That's the only way we can make the progress that the aliens want for us. But in order to do that, all our desires and our natural instincts for sex have to be broken down, disassembled, and rebuilt into a new construct that can be controlled. You cannot have natural 2 hours and 4 minutes. 2 hours and 4 minutes exactly. I'm telling you, it does it every time. But that's the ultimate master plan. That is the goal. Natural procreation must die. Cloning must become the future. And we must, through our revisionist history, remove any inclination we ever had, which also includes the censorship of all things involving naturalism of sex. We must forget it all in order to establish the new dominance of our evolved self has been propagated since 1962 by the aliens. It's been one giant master plan since Roswell. And it's winning, as sad as it is to say. Now, if you're tuned in at this point to my stream, you're probably saying, what the fuck is on the screen and what does that have to do with any of the shit that he's talking about? Well, this is Almost Live. It is a skit comedy show from Seattle, Washington. And it is the video proof. It is the literal evidence that the aliens have taken over Seattle, Washington, and that their plan has manifest from Seattle, Washington, and spread far and wide to completely corrupt our nation as a whole and eventually humanity as a whole. I mean, all you have to do is watch.
Good.
While working as a writer for the show in the late 80s, Bill was on hand when opportunity knocked.
A guest didn't show up.
Somehow, they had to fill 6 minutes.
So Ross, at a writer's meeting, just offhanded, well, you know.
Did you know Amazon?
Oh, they're blocking my efforts. They're blocking my efforts, folks. They're blocking me. They're trying to disrupt it because they know I'm making sense.
Once you do that stuff, you're always talking.
This man is the Benedict Arnold of our time. This man is a Benedict. He has sold out the human race because he likes having sex with aliens. He can't have children. This is the thing. Aliens are not capable of procreation. They can't have babies because they are themselves transgender. It is a concept that that's too animalistic for them. But Bill Nye likes fucking them because they still got all the parts and he can have it however he wants. He just can't have kids. But he's so in love with fucking aliens that he wants it for everyone. He wants to be an alien, but he knows he can't. But he feels that if he can listen to the words and the direction of the aliens that he loves fucking so much, that he can transform the rest of society into that, then the world is his oyster. Now he can have sex with anyone, and they're all aliens now. The whole world will give him the same sexual gratification that the aliens he met in Seattle have given him through his life. He believes he's doing good for humankind by pushing these narratives and pushing this ideology. He's an engineer from Boeing. Yet people are convinced he's some science guy. A science guy that this terrible show spawned upon the world. The lie was created right here on Almost Live.
Why don't you could be Bill Nye the Science Guy or something.
What? The bit was a hit.
It all started here, folks. It all started here.
You created a lot of fire in that studio.
A tornado.
The beginning of the alien deception started right here.
Had a lot of anxiety over that. How were you able to keep doing that?
We were cautious. We had fire extinguishers around, and so we all got along. Since you
It's
asked.
a fucking travesty.
There's a big cabbage luncheon at the Swedish Club.
In addition to the science guy,
Hello, I'm Bill Nye.
Bill also appeared as various other characters,
This looks like a job for
including Speedwalker, the superhero who fights crime
See?
while adhering to internet.
A man like that doesn't get laid by other humans. A man like this could not possibly fuck another human being. It just couldn't happen. That's why when he found the aliens, it literally was his only sexual outlet. And that's why he was so easily malleable. And that's why he gave up the ghost, so to speak, and sold out his own people. Because he got sex. He got sex for the first time. So he was willing to do anything for the aliens, as long as he just kept getting the sex that he wanted. He is a traitor to all of mankind. Look at that. Look at that traitor.
William Shatner impersonation.
If only a human woman would have fucked him. Could you imagine how much different our society would be if a human woman actually would let him put his pathetic dick inside her?
Bill and his local producers took the science guy to a young global audience.
It's all unnatural. He adopts the mannerisms of his alien overlords. He models himself after them.
And what started right here in Seattle has gone on to change the world.
See, they're unabashed about it. They're celebrating it. That's the thing that clued me in, because I thought this was being put on the internet as a way to, it's like, oh, look at this horrible shit we used to do. We're going to put it out there so people can laugh. The whole fucking special is celebrating the anniversary of the show. They have a fucking museum in Seattle dedicated to this horrible show. They're all aliens now. They're all aliens. It's over for humanity in Seattle, Washington.
Bill Nye isn't the only guy to make
Look
it
at this
big
shit.
after a stint on Almost
Look
Live.
at this fake person. His eyes are dead as fucking sharks.
University of Washington. He was bumped up.
And now you know you can't trust Joel McHale too, by the way, because he was in there early on. He was down. He was part of the organization. He got out and he did some other things, but that's all part of the program.
Regular in the mid-90s, appearing in sketches and had a recurring bit as William Wallace.
But I say unto you here and now, Nordstrom can take our masculinity, but they can never take our freedom!
Joel would go on to...
See, he's even mocking the very thing that he seeks to undo. He mocks it. Because that's part of the zeitgeist of woke comedy, is that you parody it in such, it's not just a satire or a parody where it's like you're creating comedy off of something. Your points are very articulate and they're very poignant, and it's true to form. It is exactly what it's intended to say, but it's masquerading as comedy so you can get people to laugh, and that allows people to let that message penetrate any sort of wall that they have built up to naturally resist it. You get people laughing, they're more willing to listen. And that's what Joel McHale understands. And that's what he implements. And that's what this entire show was based on. But the problem is that they couldn't get anyone outside of Seattle to laugh because it's fucking horrible comedy. It's terrible. And they all suck. And they all know it. But Joel McHale got out. He was their Jesus. He was the one that was able to go out into the world, into a legitimate, what would I call it? I don't want to use religious terms. He went out into the world and spread the message of the alien overlords that he had come to know so well while working for Almost Live. And he started to infuse that into his projects. He started infusing that into what he did. And they knew that this was their little probe out into the greater aspects of the entertainment world. This was going to be it, the turning point. And it worked. It worked. Because Joel McHale got many opportunities after leaving this show. He started out small on Talk Soup, but it grew from there, and then his influence radiated out. And what also radiated out through this period? Woke ideology, DEI, Black Lives Matter. I'm telling you, it's all connected.
In dozens of movies and TV shows, including 6 seasons on the NBC comedy Community. Bob Nelson got hired in 1989 after he wrote a bunch of sketches and hand-delivered them to
See,
TV.
now we're going to talk, they're going to celebrate the fucking cunts that never made it out of there because they worship this. It doesn't matter to them that these people are failures and should have killed themselves a long time ago. They're celebrating them because their efforts led to what we now know in society as the alien overlord's success to this point. These are the architects of it. They were the progenitors. That's why they're not just celebrated, they're worshipped. That's why that is not a museum, it's a shrine. These are the select few humans in the beginning that started to make the turn to push the ideology that had now just taken over Seattle as a whole and found a way to crack the shell to get it beyond. These were the disciples of woke.
Your career. If you needed someone to play disheveled and dim-witted, Bob was your guy.
Tell us, how exactly did you get that nickname?
Well, it's just something that the women have always called me.
He continued his career as a writer in Hollywood, penning the Oscar-nominated screenplay for the movie Nebraska in 2014. Lauren Weedman joined the cast in the
No one liked that Nebraska. No one liked that. No one.
final seasons of Almost Live.
Okay, it's my turn. My turn.
Go ahead.
Go
Right
ahead.
here.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right. Okay. Here we go. I am gonna stand up to my mother. I am, but oops, I have no spine though. No spine at all. Look at that.
It was her first time on TV.
Do you see? Do you see what I mean?
Not the last. She would go on to be an in-demand character actor, appearing in everything from Curb Your Enthusiasm to Will and Grace, and most recently, Hacks.
The rock and roll drummer with perfect comic timing.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And the big stars who performed on Almost Live when evening returns.
See, Dave Grohl. That's another one of them. Dave Grohl, man. Think about that. I mean, Nirvana. Why do you think Kurt Cobain killed himself? Because he knew. Kurt Cobain was a slave. He was a literal slave to the alien indoctrination. They used every avenue they could to break their message out into the mainstream, to corrupt and co-opt all human society, to eradicate its animalistic tendencies. What was going on before the rise of grunge? Anybody remember? Class? Anyone remember? Hedonism. Hair bands galore, metal, and sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What became of all that? Grunge. What was the message of grunge? Turn away from all of this hedonism. Elevate yourself. Become more mature. Become more evolved. Especially you men. You men have to get beyond your machismo and your gorilla brains. You have to be more of a thinker. You have to be more well-read. You have to be more of a student of philosophy. All the things the aliens wanted. And who was the arbiter of that during the entire group? Who was the most prominent and most prolific arbiter of that message in that period? Kurt Cobain. And Kurt Cobain understood this. Kurt Cobain understood this in a way that haunted him. But he also knew he could resist it. But he gave in to his animalistic tendencies when he had a child with Courtney Love. And that is not what they could stand. Kurt Cobain didn't commit suicide. I've never believed that. He was killed. Not by Courtney Love. Not by any other nefarious actor. He was killed by the aliens. Because they realized his power center was too great at the time. He was too powerful. If he actually turned against the aliens, the message would have resonated, and it would have undone generations of work that they had struggled and strived to get as far as they did at that point. It would have all come crashing down and been undone. So they had to remove him from the equation. What happens after Kurt Cobain's death? Suicide. Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl arguably becomes bigger than Nirvana ever was with the Foo Fighters. His message spans even further, over a longer period of time. And what's his message? It's pretty much identical. Pretty much identical to the elevated standpoint of being a better person and rejecting the animalistic tendencies you have and making a parody of it, of all these things of machismo, and trying to basically turn men into these soft, malleable lumps of shit that have no real agency or say over themselves, who betray their animalistic tendencies and become subservient to the concept of a genderless form of equity. He is he is that personified. Sorry, I haven't been reading chat. This is probably the most interesting manifesto I've encountered today. Kind of the same thing with Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. Man. Yeah. The problem with Chris Cornell is that he did kill himself because he tried to get on board. He tried to be on that train, but his animal urges were too great. He was too much of an alpha male-esque person. He tried to resist it, and he fought as long as he could, but he just couldn't. It overtook him. It was too much for him to bear. Because he oozed sexuality. He was a poster child for this. Him and Lane Staley both were the poster children of sexiness when it came to the Seattle scene. And they couldn't shake it. Neither one of them could shake it. Lane Staley tried, but he couldn't shake it. And there was too much wrapped up in that. There was too much that he wanted it so bad. That's why he had to turn to drugs. He had to turn to heroin to shut down those primal instincts that he had. To be more like the aliens, he had to turn his life over to drugs, which many people in Seattle also turned to heroin. Why is that? Why are there so many heroin addicts in Seattle, Washington? It's those who are fighting the indoctrination, who can't take it. They know deep down inside it's just not the way. But there's too many forces and too many powers rallied and set up against them for them to be able to fight against it. So they escape. They have to escape. They just want to shut their brains off and they want to pretend it doesn't exist. So they thereby commit their lives to heroin. And they figure either I'm going to be a shell of a person locked in my own, fucked up brain, or I'm going to die. Either way, it's preferable to the hell that my life will be if I allow these aliens to dominate my animal instincts and my human sensibilities. If they shut me off as a human and program me to be this genderless blob of a thing that is their ultimate goal, like what reason do any of us have to live? And they opted not to fight back, but to give up. Kurt Cobain was stronger than that. He tried to fight back, but they knew he had a shot, so they had to wipe him out. They had to kill him. Eddie Vedder, he's down with the plan. Through and through. That motherfucker's down with the plan. He has made it his point in life. His whole purpose in life is to make everything as milquetoast and mundane as humanly possible. You know why? Because he wouldn't have a career otherwise. Because Eddie Vedder fucking sucks. And so does Pearl Jam. And if you like him, go fuck yourself. I don't care. Seriously. The only way that talentless hack would ever have a shot at anything is if everyone's quality of life and sensibilities of what was good were diminished to almost nothing. The bar was reduced so far that that's good. Yeah, no. The reality of the situation when it comes to Pearl Jam is they had one good album that was written off of the last remnants of fucking Andy Wood. After that fucking band went right down the shitter. That was the last tangent of quality primal rock that they ever had. And what happened to Andy Wood? Died of heroin. Exactly. Like Anne Frankenberry says. Died of heroin. Because he couldn't control it either. And he was locked in the system. And he wanted to just let it go too. So the last bit of Andrew Wood's legacy died on the album 10. Died and was fucking summarily thrust into the ground to be buried for all time by none other than Eddie Vedder, the poster child for alien overthrow. Temple of the Dog argues otherwise. No, Temple of the Dog does not argue otherwise. Temple of the Dog was a project that was created to remember Andrew Wood by all of his friends, except for one. Who was the one guy who was in that band that had no reason to be in that band? Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder was there as the stopgap because they knew the power of what Temple of the Dog could represent. They understood that that could be like a supergroup that could actually become the very thing that's going to take over from where it's going to be a partner system with all these other bands, but on the same level as the success of Nirvana. It had the potential, but it had to be stifled. It had to be stomped out because the potential of it was too great. So Eddie Vedder was brought in, and Eddie Vedder, his role in that group was basically to say, this far and no farther. And there ended any sort of hope that Temple of the Dog would actually become something more. Eddie Vedder, the Undertaker for traditional, decent rock. He killed rock and roll. Eddie Vedder is the angel of death of true hedonistic rock and roll. And that's why Kurt Cobain couldn't stand Eddie Vedder, because he knew what he was. He knew it. And that's why Kurt Cobain really didn't like Dave Grohl either, because he knew that Dave Grohl was on board. He knew he was an alien bitch from the day he met him. He was a damn good drummer, but he knew he was the alien's bitch, and he couldn't stand him. And then Dave Grohl kept coming to Kurt like, hey man, I got these ideas for these songs, man. I got these ideas. And he's like, no. Because he knows where it's coming from. He knows that's the alien influence trying to push in there. He knows that. So he's shutting it down. To the day he died, Kurt Cobain was fighting against that system. But they were coming at him from all sides. And he couldn't hold up on his own. But even his bandmates and everyone was turning against him. He was alone in the world. I feel really sorry for him. I mean, at the end, he was alone. But he still wouldn't give up. He wouldn't let it. I mean, sure, he started to turn to heroin because he, like all the other artists before him, were so overwhelmed by the pressure of this organization and so alone in the world to be able to fight against it. He felt hopeless. And like many others, he decided to opt out. To choose that path to try to forget, but he couldn't forget. And that's the key point. He could not forget. Toward the end of his life, he was starting to make changes. He was starting to make decisions that would ultimately affect the course of the band, his own marriage, and basically isolate himself in the sphere of his own success to allow himself to go beyond. And that way he, in the last bastion of hope that he would ever have to break free, could divorce himself from the aliens' reach over and their control over him. And he could finally be free and then speak his mind and say the things he wanted and be free of it. But it didn't work out because they found out and they killed him. And the plan has always been ever since, kill all things masculine, destroy masculinity. And anyone who is masculine, even within this new thing that we have created, the best solution we have to infiltrate the youth market, we kill all masculinity within it as well. And who can do that better than Eddie fucking Vedder and Dave fucking Grohl? The two testicles of the genderless alien overlords. They fucking killed it all. They continue to kill it all. And it's just horrible. Dave Grohl had sex because sex has never been a thing that, see, you mistake me. Sex has never been off the table. It's never been a thing that they have gotten rid of. Sex has always been there. It's procreation. That's the thing. They have to get rid of the concept of procreation because sex can happen. Anyone can have, women can have sex with women, men can have sex with men. Sex is just sex. When you remove gender from the equation, sex is just having pleasurable experiences. The problem is with masculinity in sex, it becomes dominance. It becomes dominance over gender, which is the animalistic tendencies of all humans. This is what the aliens had to weed out from the consciousness of all people. They had to get rid of gender so there could be no gender dominance. Sex is still okay. That's why Bill Nye was able to have sex with aliens. It's the procreation aspect that tips the scale and keeps masculinity and gendered sex roles in their place. We are headed toward a cliff of a veritable catastrophe for humankind as we progress into a genderless state. The first transgender president will be the arbiter of our human death and the full realization of the aliens' plan. I'm saying it now. I can't predict when it's going to happen. I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but it will be the tipping point. The only way to fight back is to elect Donald Trump as president. Seriously, this show fucking sucks.
I am Jamie Lee Curtis.
See, the problem is I'm showing you, this was published 1 month ago, and this is a retrospect. This is like a remembrance of the show. I'm going to have to show you the actual show because at this point, you just think I'm ragging on, I'm creating some craziness. We got to watch this show because
due to the graphic nature of the following
I can't, I'll put it this way. I want you to be perfectly honest. We're going to watch Almost Live. And if you laugh, I'll know you're aliens. Thank you.
For some members of our viewing audience, like wussies and little wimps and weenies.
They should have been sued.
Cops on Mercer Island.
Yeah, a lot of people think
Y'all know Mercer Island, right?
Some sort of, playground for the rich, but the fact is there's a lot of serious crime here. Got to do a lot of police work.
Yeah, we've got a 1047 down at the yacht club. Officer requiring assistance.
Roger, this is 203. I'm near that area. What intersection is that? Oh, hold it. I see him. Hold on.
What are you saying? It's not the real stuff?
All right, hold it. Cool. What do we got here?
Evian at all. Hold it. Okay, Ted, this individual says that this gentleman sold him some water and it's not actually Evian water. You're saying this guy
isn't
is
Evian.
ripping
What are
off
you
his-
selling?
Yes, it's Evian water.
This is Evian water.
Yes.
You're selling Evian water.
Absolutely.
All right, let me try it out here. This is tap water, buddy. You're selling tap water. Where did this come from?
Came from the Mount Blanc region of France.
That's Mount Blanc. You know, it's illegal to drink tap water in Mercer Island. This is a very serious crime.
Is it all becoming clear now? Is it starting to make sense?
Hey. All right. Now listen, you're under arrest for selling bogus Evian water. Now I'm going to read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent, although you can discuss real estate and boat taxes. If you don't have an attorney, we'll go down to the yacht club and we'll get you one. You have the right to have your colors done before any questioning. Now, do you understand each of these rights as I've explained them to you?
Yes, I do.
You want a latte?
Yeah, tall single.
All right.
Tall single.
Give me a second. All right, let's go. Yeah, you know.
Now, you got to be honest with me. Any laughter, even a chuckle, even a fucking smirk, I'm serious. This was on the air for, I believe, 25 years in Seattle, Washington. The only way a show like this can stay on a network affiliate in a major metropolitan city in the United States is if that entire city is inhabited by nothing but aliens.
Now, this is a beautiful place. You're not going to find a more beautiful town anywhere in the world, but more important, it's friendly. The people here are very friendly. Whoa, what do we got here? What do we have here? Hey there, buddy. Hey. Hey, hi, how are you?
Fine.
Where are you from?
Just down the street here.
You live in Mercer Island?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, I guess you could answer
Red Feather, you were already compromised. You like parody songs. That's the first sign of being turned over to the aliens' way.
Okay, what's the best ski resort in Colorado?
Like Placid.
Buddy, you're not from Mercer Island. Where are you from?
Kent.
Yeah, I thought so. Hey, listen, we don't allow people from Kent in Mercer Island. Now, you knew that. I'm going to give you a warning this time.
Okay.
I'm going to just wait.
You know, I too also say all the time that Kent people are not allowed on Mercer Island. It's just a fact. It's a fact the entire world knows, actually.
Wait over here. All right, just stay right here. I'm going to call for the evacuation bus to get you out of here, all right? You just stay right there. I don't want to see you here again, okay?
Okay.
Just stay right there.
Yeah, but NCIS was a national show.
The guys from Kent, I feel
This
sorry for 'em. It's sad,
is,
you just can't have that sort of thing on Mercer.
with the exception of Bill Nye, the traitor, and fucking Joel McHale, there's no one else on this fucking show that you've ever seen in your life. Yet they did this for like 25 years. Where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from?
Domestic disturbance, that's the most dangerous call you can go on. It's very scary.
Now, I want to make a point about what Anne Frankenberry just said. I remember Bill Nye dancing on TV talking about gender being fluid and people should date partners of other races because races like ice cream and different flavors make life interesting. Is that not the thing the aliens would tell you? To try to convince you is normal. That's the message. Being a genderless amalgam of just fluid and tissue that has no form, no gender, outcome of equality, and a complete milquetoast, mundane, banal existence where you think this is funny. This is your future, according to the aliens. This is your future. When you start laughing at this, you'll know you've been compromised. It's over. End it. End it right now. If you find, okay, don't end it, Red Feather. I'm being hyperbolic. I don't want anyone to actually kill themselves. I'm just making a point. Maybe, I'll play devil's advocate here. Maybe the alien way is the best way. Maybe evolution is the right move. Maybe we won't be able to explore deep space until we evolve. I don't know. All I'm saying is the animal side of me, my natural instincts within me, knows to revolt against this. And I'm an old man, so I can spend the rest of my life revolting. The younger people, well, weigh your options. That's all I got to say. But all I know is when this is the high mark of comedy, I'll welcome death. I'll welcome the angel of death.
I lost a partner on one of those.
And it never ends, by the way. They beat these bad premises into the fucking ground. Repetition is the mark of mediocrity.
But under the bylaws of the city of Mercer Island, I can make this decision. Now you're going to have to play the point over. No, we're not
I'm not even old. You don't consider 48 old? I do. I'm 2 years away from being 50. 50. That's old. You ask anyone. They will tell you 50 is old. Do you see? Do you see? They don't stop. They just keep going. It never gets funnier. It's the same joke repeated over and over and over. Oh, now they're in Kent. Remember how Kent wasn't allowed in Mercer Island? Oh, well, now we're getting the Kent side. See, so it's a completely different skit.
Everybody's a little anxious for work, Dan. Sometimes
See, you're old too, Red. You're not as old as me, but you're still old.
Yeah, this is car 25. Roger, be there in a second.
You know, because if you didn't laugh at the last premise at Mercer Island, you're going to laugh your ass off in the Kent version.
Where are your caps? What do you mean? Do you realize that as long as you are in the city limits of Kent, all males under 35 years of age must be wearing caps?
See, isn't it funny to take, you know, colloquial stereotypes of the cities you live in and then just say it? Hey, Kent, we see that you guys like to wear hats. Now we're going to make a cops parody where it's the law that you got to wear caps. Isn't that funny? We acknowledge the fact that a lot of people in Kent wear caps. I seriously want all of these people to die of fucking colon cancer. I'm not even joking. I hope they all contract it. I hope Bill Nye injected them all during COVID with the very thing that gives them all fucking colon cancer, and they all died already or are on the slow, agonizing trail out of the door. Fuck them all. They all deserve to die.
We forgot him at home.
You forgot him at home.
What does this show have to do with Bill Gates?
Look, I've got some...
Oh, I didn't show you the Microsoft one? Oh, there's a whole skit on Microsoft. It was a Microsoft dating game. You know, because Microsoft's based in Washington. So
Standby camps. I want you to
programs that move your Overton window filter of your mind.
Damn, I'm good. Honk if you're horny, or
It's all part of the alien agenda.
you must be wearing a cap as long as you're. Hey, come here, buddy. What's the matter with you?
Because the overarching idea of the parody at play is satirizing the authority of the police to just a ridiculous level. Basically saying evolution, the evolvement of humankind, when we finally get rid of toxic masculinity, we no longer have to have police because we will be an evolved species who can be with one another and not harbor any sort of real passionate feelings one way or another toward each other. Everything is a gray, a massless, formless gray, where we all clap and laugh and blink in unison at shows like this, where we can, by proxy, mock our old ways, our old animalistic and hedonistic ways. Look at how underdeveloped these people are. Oh, Kent, look at the trash they live with. Oh, they haven't evolved. Oh, poor humans, still living their animalistic ways. We're so evolved. Oh, it's so quaint to see how those who, the Luddites of our world, continue to live. And that's the humor. That's the comedy. Psychotic women don't exist. Because they're actually, while they present as females, they are too full of testosterone. They're actually men inside of a woman's body.
I want to know what's going on. I want to know now.
That is the toxic masculinity aspect.
To laugh at Hicks. Very nice, gentlemen. That's very nice.
I can't believe this fucking skit is still going.
Okay. Actually, thank you, officer. It's pretty scary around.
Holy fuck, the entire fucking episode. You guys got 23 more fucking minutes ahead of you? Because it doesn't stop. The whole fucking 31 minutes is a cops parody. And you know what the fucking funniest... It's not funny. I do believe that Trailer Park Boys was going on at this time. I may be mistaken. I believe Trailer Park Boys was going on at around the same time this was being filmed. A far superior show out of Canada that understood how to do comedy. And just across the border in the alien occupied Seattle, Washington. You get this for 25 years. Oh, it was 2001. Okay, so never mind. But it's amazing to me how just across the border, you get actual comedy. Or let me reiterate, anywhere else other than Seattle, Washington, you get actual comedy. Seattle, Washington gets this. And it's so revered that they literally have a fucking museum dedicated to this show. I've never wanted a nuclear attack more than I do, and I want it all centralized on Seattle, Washington.
No, you're thinking of Bill Murray. It was Bill Murray in Stripes. Bill Moyers is the guy who talks to intelligent people about meaning.
Well, I know it was in Nova Scotia, but still, it's just across the border. It doesn't matter if it's on the other side of the country. It wasn't in Nova Scotia, was it? I thought it was closer to Ontario. It's not in Nova... Was it in Nova Scotia? There's no fucking way. Now you got me looking. Where was it filmed? Oh, you're right, Nova Scotia. Holy fucking shit. I had no idea. Wow. I thought it was closer to Ontario. Well, it's all relative. As far as I'm concerned, everything in Canada all takes place in fucking just north of the border, no matter where I'm talking about. It's all relative. Well, hell, I fucked it all up when I said it was being filmed at the same time. It's just it's disturbing to me. I mean, well, fuck, I'll even go back. I'll tell you what was filmed even before this show, probably right around the time of this, the early tapings of this show, and before this was SCTV. And SCTV was a far superior product. Far fucking superior. And that was legit, genuine comedy. This is tripe. This is god awful. I fucking hate it. I can't say I've never been madder, but this has got my blood boiling like you would not believe. The fact that people like this, laugh at this, and actually remember it fondly and built a fucking museum to celebrate the history of this fucking show. I demand a second Holocaust. We have to eradicate this nonsense from our existence. Just in the same way the aliens are doing it to our hedonism, masculinity, and our way of life, our animalistic way of life, I want a counter offensive to destroy this. Fuck this. In all its fucking iterations, fuck this in its non-existent, genderless fucking asshole. Ugh. I hate it. I gotta stop. I gotta stop this. Seriously. What more can be said? I'm not even joking. I can surf right through this. Cops. It does not fucking stop. The whole episode. You know how fucking retarded you have to be to take a terrible joke and do it for 30 fucking minutes? Now, if it was an Andy Kaufman bit, and it's like the whole joke was the fact that they're pushing it to the extremes and they're pushing it that far to where the repetition becomes the joke, then it would be funny. But that's not what this is. They legit think the joke is funny, and they figure the more they tell it, the funnier it gets. That's the alien way. That's the sinister nature of the alien way. It's not funny, and it will never be funny. And no matter how many times you tell the joke, it won't get any funnier. But that's their supposed evolved belief, that repetition breeds success. And as far as like infiltrating our country and spreading their disease, yes, repetition has been successful. comedy is one of those reminders that lets you know not in all avenues does repetition work. Sometimes repetition will show you the inverse of what you think it will. And when you have a product like this that is so fucking terrible that they're just literally repeating the same joke over and over, it's like they're open your fucking mouth and are cramming it down your fucking throat. And who likes that? No one. Except for the aliens, apparently. The aliens love it. Fuck them. Fuck everything. I can't. When I found this, I literally just could not believe. That's why I'm doing this stream, because I found this fucking show. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I gotta vent. I gotta rant about this. So there's my rant. I'm gonna get off here. I actually have to piss. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours. It's not going to get any more coherent or better. Like I said, I'd be a hypocrite if I thought keep driving this alien narrative into the ground is going to get any, yeah. It sucked from the start, and it's going to suck no matter how much more I keep pushing it. I just thought it was funny to start weaving in the vote for Donald Trump aspect. Donald Trump is the savior of animalistic human tendencies, and he is the last bastion of our hedonism. I kind of walked myself into that, and I thought, man, that's pretty funny. I'm going to roll with that. But yeah, fuck it all. These fucking people suck. I'm gonna head out. Thanks for stopping by. I'll probably be on tomorrow night. I may keep this going for a couple of weeks before I abandon it for a year, but we'll see. There's only one way to find out. Tune back in tomorrow night for more repetitive social wreck. Thank you. Good night.